My beloved, what if the burden you carry in your chest did not begin in this life? What if the patterns that bind you, the sorrow that returns unbidden, the invisible force that reroutes your joy? What if all of it was planted long before your birth? When the soul takes on a new body, it does not begin with a blank page. It arrives with the ink of memory etched in its subtle tissues, in the quiet folds of the spine, in the unconscious tendencies of thought and desire. This is karma, not punishment, not cruel fate, but the accumulated vibration of all choices, known and unknown, made across the many pages of your soul's long and winding book of life. You have felt this, haven't you? You try to rise and something within pulls you back. You heal one wound and another from the same root appears. You change your mind, but the emotion lingers. And in your heart, you have whispered, "Why is this so hard? Why does this pain feel older than I am?" My child, it is because some of your sorrow was born not in the present, but in lifetimes long past. And yet, here is the divine promise. You are not imprisoned by karma. You are not condemned by the choices of yesterday. The soul is not a prisoner. It is a beam of God, temporarily cloaked in the shadows of its own unlearned lessons. And just as darkness vanishes when you open the curtain, so too can even 50 years of karma be dissolved. By one beam of divine remembrance, by one sacred phrase uttered not from the lips alone, but from the depths of the yearning soul. You need not fight your karma. You need not fear it. You need only to awaken the divine vibration that transforms it. Let me show you how. You were told that karma is punishment. You were told that it is a debt, a sentence, a kind of spiritual handcuff placed on your life by an unseen judge. But that is not what karma is. Karma is not wrath. Karma is not vengeance. Karma is energy, energy shaped by thought, by feeling, by will. Karma is the silent momentum of the soul's desires, moving through time, seeking fulfillment or release. Every thought you have ever thought, every word spoken with emotion, every act done with intention, each becomes a vibration etched into your astral spine, your subtle body, your soul's memory. That is karma, not a punishment, a magnetic residue of what you have believed, chosen, felt, feared, and loved. In the sacred science of yoga, we are taught that the soul is clothed in three bodies: the physical, the astral, and the causal. The karma from this life and others resides not just in your mind, but in these finer sheaths. It clings like mist to the spine, to the chakras, to the vibrational energy that animates your breath and heartbeat. Yogananda called it energy patterns of past actions, not sins, but tendencies. If you were angry again and again, the vibration of that anger becomes a channel, a groove. And unless you consciously redirect it, you will return to that path like water running down a carved slope. My beloved, karma is not your enemy, it is your teacher. But the lesson is not always understood with words. It is understood with spiritual vibration. When you live unaware, karma governs you like a dream governs the sleeper. But when you awaken, truly awaken, you can stand above it. And from that higher place, you can dissolve it. Not by struggling, not by more action, but by invoking the only force that stands beyond karma, the light of God. And so, let us go deeper. Let us understand why time alone cannot heal what lives in the timeless soul. Time is not the medicine your soul is seeking. Time may fade memories from the mind, but karma does not live in the mind alone. Karma lives in vibration, and vibration is not bound by the ticking of clocks. You may spend 50 years trying to forget, trying to outlive a wound, trying to bury the heaviness of some invisible grief. But unless that vibration is consciously transmuted, it will return. Like an echo in a canyon, it circles back to the one who first spoke it. Karma is not healed by waiting, it is healed by awakening. When people say time heals all wounds, they speak of the body, perhaps of emotion. But the soul keeps its own time. A mother who lost her child 2 lifetimes ago may still feel the ache when she walks past a cradle. A man who broke a vow in one life may struggle with trust in the next, unable to explain why he fears what he has never experienced. Karma does not obey linearity. It obeys resonance. Whatever you set in motion, whatever you poured energy into, if it was never released, resolved, forgiven, or spiritualized, it will continue to live in your field. Yogananda taught that karma is carried like a blueprint in the spine. This sacred spine, Sushumna, is not merely a physical column of bone and nerve. It is the highway of your spiritual evolution. Every moment you reacted in fear, every time you grasped in craving, every silent judgment or hidden resentment, these did not vanish. They coiled like unseen snakes at the base of your spine, waiting for light, waiting for God remembrance to transform them. This is why simply growing older does not mean growing freer. You can be 70 and still chained to the same karmic pain you carried at 17. Or you can be 25 and, through deep spiritual practice, dissolve lifetimes of bondage in a few months of sacred stillness and divine surrender. It is not time that purifies. It is awareness. It is vibration. It is communion with the infinite. And so, my child, stop waiting for time to do what only God can do. Let us now turn to the sacred key that dissolves karma, not through effort alone, but through sound. Let us remember what the ancients always knew, that vibration is the mother of all creation, and that sacred vibration can also be the fire that frees you. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was not mere language, but divine vibration. This cosmic hum, this eternal, soundless sound, AUM, is the womb from which all universes were born. Every atom, every wave of light, every stirring of soul was first a vibration, and what was set into motion by vibration can only be undone by vibration. This is the sacred science behind mantra, behind holy utterance, behind the divine invocation that dissolves karma at its root. You are not made of matter, you are not even made of thought. You are made of sound, sound clothed in form, resonance clothed in bone, and when the soul speaks from the stillness of divine attunement, it sends out a frequency that rearranges reality. This is not metaphor. This is law. Karma is not your enemy. Karma is simply trapped vibration, energy that you once released without wisdom, now returning to be reabsorbed in love. The reason it has clung to you for 50 years, for 5 incarnations, is because the energy has not yet been transmuted. But when you speak from soul union, when your words are charged with remembrance of God, that very vibration becomes the solvent that dissolves the glue of karma. Yogananda said, chanting is half the battle. Why? Because when you chant from the heart, not mechanically, but as a soul crying to the infinite, you harmonize your individual vibration with the cosmic sound. The ego dissolves, the inner blocks melt, and in that purity of tone, karma begins to evaporate like mist before the sun. This is the power of AUM. This is the power of divine name. There are mantras in every tradition. The name of God, spoken with devotion, carries a higher frequency than any thought. In India, Aum. In Christ's tongue, Abba. In the whisper of the Sufi, Hu. All point to the same vibratory truth, that God is not a concept but a living frequency. And when you speak in that frequency, you do not merely pray, you participate in creation. When you chant, Heavenly Father, burn away my past, with the heart of surrender, with the breath of spirit, it is not just sound. It is soul command. It is divine magnetism shaping the astral field, melting karmic crystals, awakening God's fire within your cells. The utterance becomes a blade, a balm, a beacon. Karma, stunned by divine vibration, releases its hold, not because it was defeated, but because it was understood. Beloved, you need not fight your past. You need only out-vibrate it. With stillness, with breath, with sacred speech, let us now turn to the mantra, the key, the divine utterance you were destined to remember. Heavenly Father, burn away my past, illumine my present, and bless my future with thy love. Say it slowly, as if your soul had been waiting lifetimes to speak these words. Whisper them, not from your throat, but from your spine. Let every syllable arise not from desperation, but from devotion. These are not ordinary words. This is not a string of sound. It is a vibrational command, a plea that opens the floodgates of divine remembrance, a mantra encoded with the power to transmute, to dissolve, to deliver. Heavenly Father, with these words you lift your gaze to the infinite source. You do not address karma as your enemy. You speak first to God, for it is only through divine contact that karmic forces lose their grip. You are not begging, you are invoking. You are aligning yourself with the supreme will, the only will capable of untying knots made by lifetimes of ignorance. Burn away my past. Not erase, not deny, not avoid. Burn. Fire is the symbol of sacred purification. In the fire of divine love, the imprints of error dissolve, not into void, but into light. Visualize this. Each karmic thread, entangled around your subtle spine, now melting like wax in the flame of God's awareness. See your past karmas, those silent triggers, ancestral wounds, old betrayals, evaporating as if they were never yours to carry. Illumine my present. For what is the point of cleansing the past if the present remains dark? You are asking God to fill the now with divine clarity. You are no longer driven by blind reaction, but guided by light. Each breath becomes an act of sacred will. Each moment, a luminous opportunity to generate pure karma infused with divine presence. And bless my future with thy love. This is surrender in its highest form. You do not ask for a specific future. You ask for God's love to shape it. And in that prayer, you offer up your plans, your fears, your timelines. You no longer demand freedom, you receive it. Your future is no longer a projection of unresolved karma, but a field of infinite possibility bathed in divine grace. Now, beloved, speak this aloud 3 times, slowly, reverently, not as repetition, but as revelation. With each breath, let the mantra descend deeper into your spine. Feel it etching itself into your energy field. This is no ordinary practice. This is a spiritual surgery. With each utterance, you are inviting God to cleanse the karmic fields that you yourself cannot see. Close your eyes, place your hand upon your heart, and whisper, Heavenly Father, burn away my past, illumine my present, and bless my future with thy love. Again, Heavenly Father, burn away my past, illumine my present, and bless my future with thy love. One final time. Heavenly Father, burn away my past, illumine my present, and bless my future with thy love. Remain still. Feel what has shifted. When karma dissolves, it does not announce itself with fireworks. It vanishes like a shadow at sunrise. It does not always leave a trace, but it always leaves a peace. And that peace may come suddenly, like a falling veil, or slowly, like a thaw. But if you have truly invoked God through the sacred vibration, there will be signs, not of effort, but of release. The first sign is emotional release. You may weep without cause, laugh without understanding, or simply feel an unnameable stillness flood your chest. These are not random moods. They are karmic echoes leaving your body. Just as toxins release through sweat, karmic tension exits through emotion. If you feel lighter after repeating the mantra, if your breath deepens without effort, know that a knot has loosened. Do not rush to interpret it, just allow it to flow. The second sign is relational shift. A person who once triggered you no longer carries the same sting. A relationship you've clung to suddenly dissolves without pain. A past resentment, once etched in fire, now appears distant and soft. Why? Because the karmic bond, the energy that magnetized the suffering, has been purified. You do not need to fight for closure. You do not need to rehash the story. When the karmic vibration dissolves, the outer drama fades with it. The third sign is synchronicity. You will find the right teaching at the right time. A forgotten book may fall into your hands. A conversation may spark a soul memory. You may hear a phrase in passing that feels divinely coded. These are not accidents. These are confirmations that the vibrational field has changed and the universe is now responding to your new resonance. When karma dissolves, the soul becomes magnetic to truth. Life begins to move with you, not against you. And finally, the most sacred sign, Stillness. Not the stillness of numbness, but the stillness of knowing. A subtle, golden quietude within your spine. A feeling of being held, even in uncertainty. This stillness does not shout. It whispers. It says, "You are not who you were yesterday." And that whisper is more powerful than any revelation. When karma dissolves, your nervous system rewrites its song. The drama loses its urgency. The soul begins to remember its original sound. Do not wait for external validation. You will know, not by logic, but by vibration. A peace will descend that cannot be traced to any cause. And that peace is not the reward. It is the result of soul light burning through karmic fog. Speak the mantra daily. Let it settle in your spine like golden rain. And as it flows, observe, not with expectation, but with wonder. Karma does not dissolve because you tried harder. It dissolves because you finally allowed the divine to do what only divine presence can. There is a sacred science that predates all religions, yet fulfills the purpose of them all. It is not dogma, but direct divine experience. It is not philosophy, but soul technology. This sacred science is Kriya Yoga. And it is through this inner path that the deepest karmic grooves are not merely eased, but entirely erased. For Kriya Yoga is not a technique for peace. It is a mechanism for soul liberation. When you breathe unconsciously, karma circulates through you like a silent river, carving patterns into your nerves, decisions, and desires. But when you breathe with divine awareness, the river reverses. The prana, or life force, instead of being scattered outward into sensory entanglement, is brought inward, upward, offering the soul's energy back to God. This inward migration is not symbolic. It is vibrationally real. It is the unwinding of karma from the subtle spine. Kriya, when practiced rightly, short-circuits the very loop by which karma perpetuates itself. For what is karma but repeated action bound to unconscious reaction? And what is Kriya but divine action born of perfect inner stillness? Through each breath in Kriya, you draw prana from the scattered fields of bodily awareness and pour it into the Sushumna, the central channel of divine awakening in the spine. With each inward breath, you magnetize the soul back toward God. With each exhalation, you dissolve the vibrational residue of past wrongs. Yogananda called Kriya the airplane route to God. Why? Because it compresses evolution. It burns lifetimes of karma in the furnace of divine breath. One Kriya, he said, is equivalent to a full year of natural spiritual growth. It is not a theory, it is a fire. And that fire, once lit, consumes what no prayer alone can reach. But do not despair if you are not yet formally initiated. Even before receiving the sacred technique, you can prepare the vessel. Begin with breath awareness. Begin with devotion. Watch your breath as the ocean watches the moon. Softly, steadily, reverently. Add the mantra you have been given. Heavenly Father, burn away my past. Say it with breath. Say it with spine. Say it with soul. In time, when the yearning is deep and the intention pure, the path of Kriya will reveal itself to you. And when it does, the karma you feared would follow you into the next life will begin dissolving before your eyes in the stillness between each sacred breath. Let us now go deeper into the sacred remembrance of grace, a story of how karma falls away when God enters. There was a moment, hidden not in time but in eternity, when the veil of karma, woven with lifetimes of desire, fear, and illusion, parted like a curtain before the light of God. I was not seeking miracles. I was seeking Him. But in that seeking, the miracle came. Not through thunder, but through a silence so complete, it swallowed my breath and replaced it with a breathless peace. It was in the hermitage one night, long after the other disciples had entered the stillness of sleep, that I sat in meditation, aching not for liberation, but for communion. I cried not for relief, but for remembrance. And as I withdrew the breath again and again, as I lifted my consciousness from the base of the spine to the seat of divine perception behind the forehead, I felt an inner melting. It was as if something long frozen in me, some invisible knot of sorrow I did not even know I carried, began to dissolve. I had no words for it then, only a sensation, subtle yet undeniable, of an old weight leaving me. Tears came, not of grief, but of release, and as I wept inwardly, I saw behind closed eyes the form of my great guru, Sri Yukteswar, smiling with infinite love. His glance said what no scriptures could, that karma is no more. Later, as I sat in deep stillness, a memory surfaced, not from this life, but from one long past. I saw myself walking the dusty paths of ancient India, robed in the cloth of renunciation, but burdened by pride. In that life I had sought truth, but I had sought it to be seen seeking, and that false seeking had borne fruit, lifetimes of spiritual effort mingled with inner agitation. But in that moment now, sitting in the hermitage, I felt that karmic branch fall from the tree of my being. This is the truth, my beloved. When divine love burns brighter than the ego's longing, karma dissolves not through time, but through grace. The infinite has no delay when the soul truly surrenders. You may not see visions, you may not hear celestial music, but when your yearning becomes pure, when your prayer becomes a flame that says, "Burn me, Lord, until only you remain," then karma bows. It does not argue. It simply falls away, like a leaf in autumn, returning to the soil from which it came. This sacred dissolution is not a reward. It is a recognition. The moment God sees that you have seen through the illusion, He removes the veil. Let us now turn to that veil with new eyes, not as something cursed, but as something chosen. For the next truth is this: karma is not a punishment, but a divine teacher waiting to be thanked. My child, let me now whisper to your soul what the world has long hidden behind the veil of fear. Karma is not your enemy. It is your teacher, your sculptor, your spiritual architect. It is not a punishment inflicted by a wrathful universe, but a precise and sacred design permitted by the infinite to awaken you to your own divinity. Karma is not a sentence handed down. It is a choice written by the soul itself before birth. You chose this life not as a prison, but as a classroom drenched in divine light. Often we wail in the temple of time, "Why me? Why this?" And the answer, though veiled, is tender and absolute, because your soul desired to remember God through these exact circumstances. Karma, therefore, is not what happens to you. It is what happens for your evolution. Every difficulty is a disguised answer to the soul's own longing for purification. Every repeated pain is a whisper from the infinite, saying, not this, until you turn to me. When I walked through this world, I did not curse my trials. I did not beg God to spare me from them. I asked only this: Lord, give me the strength to see thee through this karma. Let not this sorrow be wasted on forgetfulness. In such surrender, karma becomes not a chain, but a chisel. The soul is carved into a divine image through the pressure of remembered truth. You may say, but I did not choose to be betrayed. I did not choose illness or loss. And yet, on the level of spirit, far beyond the veil of ego and flesh, your soul, bathed in God's wisdom, looked upon this life and said, let me walk this path, that I may grow in love, in detachment, in stillness. It is a terrible and holy thing to realize. We are not victims of fate, but participants in a divine play. Even so, beloved, karma is not final. It is a story you may rewrite through inner freedom. Every breath you take in awareness, every prayer you offer in devotion, every time you refuse to react in anger or fear, these acts change the very structure of your spiritual DNA. You are not a passive receiver of life's blows. You are a spark of the divine with the power to transmute karma into wisdom, pain into compassion, and endings into liberation. What you must understand is this: karma is not a life sentence. It is an invitation. The divine does not wish to punish you. He longs to awaken you, and he waits patiently for the moment when you will look upon your sorrow not with resentment, but with reverence. In that moment, karma begins to lose its hold. The chains loosen, not because they are cut, but because you realize they were made of light all along. And so we step now into sacred agency, no longer pleading for relief, but participating in redemption. You are not here to suffer blindly. You are here to dissolve lifetimes with a single act of divine remembrance. Let us now make this real with daily practice. Now, beloved, let us walk together from insight into action, not frantic action, but devotional discipline. For a mantra, no matter how sacred, is only as powerful as the love and stillness with which it is offered. To dissolve karma is not to recite mechanically, but to commune intimately with the infinite through word, breath, and soul vibration. Begin each morning as the world is still stretching its limbs in slumber. Sit in silence, even if for a few minutes. Before you check the world, check within. Place your right hand gently over your heart. Close your eyes, let your breath rise and fall as if the ocean were moving through your chest. And then, with reverent focus, speak aloud or within the mantra. Heavenly Father, burn away my past, illumine my present, and bless my future with thy love. Let each word rise like incense, not rushing, not mumbling, but offering. With each repetition, see golden fire rising from your heart upward, purifying the spine. See the darkness of old habits, resentments, and fears dissolving like shadows before the morning sun. Say the mantra 9 times, once for each divine opening in the body, or for the 9 gates of perception through which karma may have entered. As you do, let the vibration not just ring in your ears, but in your cells, your memory, your very soul structure. This is not prayer as petition, it is prayer as transformation. Throughout your day, whenever you encounter difficulty, before a tense conversation, before facing a memory that haunts you, before entering the battlefield of thought, pause. Even for 3 seconds, whisper the mantra like a flame flickering in the wind. Burn away my past, illumine my present, and bless my future with thy love. This is not magic. It is metaphysical law. What is offered to the divine in sincerity must be received and transmuted in light. And then at night, before you sleep, return to the mantra again. This time, lie still in bed, spine straight, mind quieting like a settling lake. Speak it into the womb of sleep. Say it slowly. Let it be the last vibration your subconscious absorbs before surrendering to the astral world. The mantra will work while you rest. Karma will unravel not through striving, but through surrender. If you feel distracted, return to the breath. Inhale with Heavenly Father. Exhale with burn away my past. Inhale, illumine my present. Exhale, bless my future with thy love. Let the mantra become your spiritual breath. Let your entire life begin to rise and fall with this sacred rhythm. You may not see fireworks, but you will feel a softening. A memory that once stung now feels distant. A person you once could not forgive now stirs no reaction. This is not forgetting, it is dissolving. Karma is not destroyed with effort, it is dissolved with light. Do not skip a day. If your heart is heavy, say the mantra. If your heart is light, say the mantra. If you forget, begin again. In this way, it becomes not a task, but a rhythm, like the rising of the sun. Karma does not resist such constancy. It bows to it. Let us now gaze upon the long-term miracle that arises when this becomes your way of life. Not just a practice, but a path. My beloved, you must understand, this path you are walking, this sacred utterance you now carry like a flame in the temple of your being, is not merely a whisper in the dark. It is a cosmic force realigning the architecture of your soul. The karma of 50 years or 500 lifetimes begins not with fanfare, but with a shift so subtle the mind might miss it, but the soul never will. You may awaken one morning and find that the grief which once wrapped itself around your chest has softened into silence. You may encounter the one who once wounded you and feel no storm arise, only a quiet blessing in your heart. The ache to control, to explain, to relive the old story. It fades like a dream that cannot hold its shape in the light. That is karma dissolving, not through time, but through transcendence. It begins with stillness. When the mind ceases its grasping and the heart rests in surrender, karmic waves have no resistance to crash against. They are absorbed into the vast ocean of divine remembrance. You become unshakable not because karma has spared you, but because your soul has transcended the need to repeat it. You'll notice your life reshaping itself, not through effort, but attraction. The magnetic pull of unhealed karma weakens. You stop circling the same types of people, the same lessons dressed in new names. Instead, grace begins to enter unannounced. You'll feel drawn to higher truths, to silence, to simplicity, to love that has no condition and no demand. This is the soul aligning with its divine blueprint once more. Synchronicities will increase, those holy coincidences that are not coincidences at all. A book opens to the page your heart needed. A stranger speaks a sentence that answers your silent prayer. Doors open where there were only walls. Why? Because karmic clouds no longer obscure the light that was always meant to guide you. The universe was never against you, dear one. It was simply echoing the patterns you had forgotten to dissolve. And you will begin to radiate something different. Those around you may not be able to name it, but they will feel it. Peace, quiet strength, a softness that holds power. That is the fragrance of karmic release. It is not arrogance or superiority. It is the scent of a soul unburdened by the anchors of the past. You will walk more lightly because your inner world is no longer dragging behind the debris of 1,000 unlearned lessons. And then, the deepest gift of all, your own suffering becomes the root of your compassion. Because you have tasted bondage, your heart longs for the freedom of others. You begin to serve, not to earn grace, but because grace overflows from you. Karma was once your master. Now it becomes your servant. You use what once bound you to liberate others. That is the miracle of this mantra. Not a magic spell, but a mirror that reveals your true self. You are not the pattern. You are not the mistake. You are not the wound. You are the eternal witness who chose this human life to remember the freedom that was never lost. So speak it, live it, trust it, and watch how even the oldest chains turn to dust under the gaze of the infinite. Now, beloved, let us bring all this remembrance into a final flame, an eternal affirmation that you are no longer who you were when you arrived. You are not the same soul who carried the invisible weight of lifetimes into this moment. You are lighter, not because time passed, but because truth was spoken. You have breathed with God, you have spoken with power, and you have surrendered with reverence. Now let us seal it. Close your eyes, let the breath move gently. Do not force it. Let it rise and fall like a sacred tide, as if the infinite himself were breathing through you. In this stillness, speak softly within, or aloud if you are alone. These words not from the mind, but from the center of your being. My soul is free. Say it once more, slowly. My soul is free. Not will be, not might be, not someday, but now. This instant, the chains that clung to your memory, the loops of reaction and pain, they are not you. They were only echoes. And echoes vanish when the voice of God speaks louder. Now say, God's light is greater than my past. Let it settle into your bones, into every cell that ever felt shame, confusion, fear, or defeat. Say it again. God's light is greater than my past. Let the words rise like the morning sun within you, burning through every shadow you once believed was real. And now, with the full force of your devotion, declare this. With every breath, I dissolve 50 years of illusion. Repeat it slowly, each word like a divine bell ringing in your spine. With every breath, I dissolve 50 years of illusion. Pause, breathe. Let silence finish the sentence for you. For in the space between words, God dwells. In the gap between inhale and exhale, he whispers your real name. You are not bound. You are not forgotten. You are not too late. You are not too broken. The soul that remembers this mantra, the heart that offers it with devotion, becomes a shining temple of redemption. You are that temple. And now I give you this final blessing, not from thought, but from the stream of eternal remembrance that flows through the masters of India, through Christ, through Krishna, through the voice that now speaks to you. May the divine fire cleanse your karma and awaken your eternal self. May every step you take be lighter, every breath you take be freer, every word you speak be truer. May you walk not as one who is seeking, but as one who remembers. You are free. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Now go, speak the mantra again. Let it be the first sound of your morning and the last word of your night. Let it guide you through joy and sorrow, through silence and sound. And when you feel burdened again, and you will, for this world is thick with illusion, return to this flame. Speak it, live it. And once again, watch karma melt before the gaze of the infinite. And if this truth touched your soul, I invite you to share your mantra below. Not for me, but for the world. Let your light ripple outward so another soul might find the way home through the vibration you now carry. Peace to you, beloved one. Eternal, unwavering peace. Beloved one, you are not broken. You are not abandoned. You are not beyond healing. You are simply waiting to remember. In this sacred hour, come with me now, not into another doing, not into more thoughts, but into the radiant temple of stillness where God is already waiting for you. Sit or lie down in a posture of reverence. Let the spine become straight, like a pillar of divine light. Rest your hands gently on your knees or by your side, palms open like a flower receiving the morning sun. Let the eyelids fall like curtains closing over the stage of the world. Inhale softly and exhale even softer. Again, inhale and exhale. No need to try, no need to force. Just listen, just be. The world has spoken loudly to you today, but now the soul whispers, and it says this: I am ready to return. I am ready to remember. Can you hear it? In the silence between your breaths, the soul gently knocks. It does not shout. It waits with patient love for you to open the door from within. As your awareness settles, bring it to your chest. Feel the sacred rhythm of the heart beating, not yours alone, but God's pulse in you. Feel the quiet warmth behind your ribs. There, like a hidden flame, the soul has always been burning, even when you forgot, even when you feared, even when you suffered. That flame never left you, and now we return to it. In this moment, your body is not a burden. It is a temple. Every cell, a shrine. Every breath, a prayer. You do not need to change who you are. You need only remove what you are not. Beneath your weariness, beneath the ache, beneath the noise is the eternal you, the divine spark, the beloved child of the infinite. Breathe again, slowly, fully, joyfully. With each breath, feel the doorway of the soul open wider. Inhale light. Exhale everything that does not belong. Inhale God. Exhale the world. Inhale truth. Exhale tension. Inhale love. Exhale the past. You are not walking into stillness. You are being embraced by it. Stillness is not emptiness. Stillness is the presence of the beloved, the sacred hush of angels around your soul, the original language of the infinite. Listen to it now. It speaks not in words, but in vibration. Feel it humming beneath the skin. Feel it stirring behind the ribs. Feel it pressing like dew behind your forehead. Let us now walk deeper, my child, into the silence where healing begins, not with effort, but with surrender. The gate is open. You are ready. The soul is waiting no more. Now, my child, feel the sacred breath as the golden key to inner stillness. Do not breathe with effort. Breathe with reverence. With each inhale, feel as though you are drawing in the infinite. With each exhale, let go of all that binds you to the illusion of restlessness. The breath is the chariot of spirit, and it will carry you inward if you let it. Inhale gently now, and imagine a golden light entering through the nose, bathing the brain, filling the chest, and descending through the spine like liquid honey from the heavens. Hold this golden light in your body for a moment. Feel its warmth. Now exhale slowly and see a misty gray fog dissolve out from the lungs, carrying away tension, fear, fatigue. Let it all go. That is not you. Again, inhale, golden light. Exhale, the world. Say silently with each breath, I breathe thee, I release me. Let this become your inner chant. As you breathe in, you are not merely taking in air. You are receiving the divine into your inner temple. Each inhale is the Father's gift. Each exhale is your offering back. This is not just oxygen. This is prana, life force, sacred energy drawn straight from the reservoir of God's infinite vitality. It animates your cells, sanctifies your blood, and heals your soul. With every breath, we are not aging. We are being born again into divine remembrance. Let the breath wash over old griefs and silent fears, the ones lodged like shadows in the bones. Let the golden breath carry them away, not violently, not suddenly, but like dawn removes the stars. Not one scar remains when God breathes through you. Now bring your attention to the nostrils. Feel the cool air entering. Feel the warmth as it exits. Observe, not with mind, but with stillness. This is where healing begins. Not in force, but in attention soaked with love. Attention is the holiest medicine. Now imagine with each breath that golden light is not only filling your lungs, it is flowing into your spine, your arms, your legs, your hands, your feet. Each finger glows like a lamp. Each toe hums with awareness. The light reaches every corner of your being until there is no darkness left. This breath is not yours. It is the breath God gave you at the dawn of time. Say within, "Beloved, I breathe thee. I receive thee." Let your chest become a chalice. Let your lungs become a hymn. Let every breath be your way of remembering, I am not this tension. I am not this fear. I am thine. And now, having lit the lamp of life within you, let us enter the sacred channel, the spine, where divine stillness speaks not in words, but in radiant silence. Now, as the golden breath continues to wash through you, let us turn our gaze within, to the throne of the soul, the spine. This is not merely bone and tissue, it is the sacred highway of divine consciousness. Along this column flows the river of life, rising from the base of matter to the spiritual eye of illumination. Close your eyes more deeply now and feel as though you are gently stepping into the center of your spine. Do not strain. Do not force. With the grace of a whisper, place your awareness behind the heart. Feel the current there, subtle but steady. You are not imagining it. You are remembering it. From this point behind the heart, begin to descend inwardly, slowly, gently, like a drop of light flowing down the sacred stream. Pass through each vertebra as though you were ringing silent bells of consciousness. At the base of the spine, feel the first light, a ruby glow. This is your foundation. It holds the memory of safety and strength. Do not judge it. Bless it. Say inwardly, O divine, awaken thy light here. Now let that glow rise like morning through a forest. Ascend to the sacral center, orange, creative, fluid. This is where energy first stirs to move outward into the world. Speak gently to it. Sanctify my energy, O Lord, that it may serve thee. Rise now to the navel, the golden center of will. Here your life force gathers to shape your destiny. Feel it glow like a small sun. Say within, not my will, but thine be done. Now higher, to the heart, where emerald light opens into love. This is the dwelling of Divine Mother in your temple. Let the breath become soft. Let the spine become upright. Feel the heart glow not with emotion, but with compassion without demand. Whisper, may this heart be a flame of thy presence. Ascend again, throat center, sky blue, the fountain of expression. Feel as though a soft breeze moves through you here. Ask within, let my voice speak only thy truth. Now the brow, the seat of divine perception. Indigo radiance gathers between the eyebrows. Feel it pulsating as though the universe itself were looking back at you. Do not seek visions. Seek stillness. That is where the vision of God arises. Silently chant, Om, Om, Om. Finally rise to the crown. A 1,000-petaled lotus above the head, violet and white. Though you may not see it, feel it. It is the gate through which the soul flies free, the place where your spirit once entered the body and where it will one day return home. Beloved, open this gate of light, that I may remember thee fully. Let all 7 centers now glow as one, a column of light rising from earth to heaven. You are not just body, you are temple. You are not just seeker, you are priest. In this very moment, You are touching eternity through the spine. And now, having awakened the inner sanctuary, we shall call upon the divine physician, he who alone holds the power to heal, restore, and resurrect your inner light. Now that the temple has been illumined and the sacred spine has been lit like a divine candle, let us summon the beloved, not as an idea, but as a living light, a healing breath, an indwelling presence. Still the breath. Sit with reverence, prepare your heart, not with words, but with surrender. Say softly from the innermost altar of your soul, O Father, O Divine Mother, beloved friend, come now into the body thou didst create. Do not say it as a request, say it as a homecoming, for your body is not a burden, but a blueprint made of cosmic light. Your every cell is a spark from the divine fire, every organ a petal in the lotus of God's presence. And your breath, yes, your breath is his silent knock. Let your awareness drift now to your brain. Visualize a pure white light descending from above, gently entering the crown of your head like a stream of living radiance. It trickles into the folds of your brain, softening, soothing, awakening divine intelligence. Say inwardly, thy wisdom floods this temple. My thoughts are sanctified in thee. Now bring your focus to your eyes, not just the outer ones, but the eye of soul vision. Whisper silently within, may I see with thee, may I see through thee, may I see only thee. Let the current of healing flow into the throat. If there is pain here, tightness, silence, unspoken grief, do not resist it. Lay it in the lap of God like an offering. Say gently, speak through me, Lord. Heal every word before it forms. Move now to the heart, the trembling throne where God often knocks, but we do not answer. Let it open, not with emotion, but with stillness, like the petals of a flower opening to morning sun. Visualize Divine Mother gently placing her hand upon your chest. Feel her warmth, her knowing, her compassion. Speak from your soul. This heart is no longer mine. I give it back to thee. Let the warmth now descend into your belly, into the lungs, the liver, the kidneys, the gut, every corner of this holy sanctuary. Visualize golden light flowing like honey into every organ. Say softly, no longer do I live by food or air alone. I live by thy radiant energy, O Spirit. Let that light sweep downward into your limbs, your bones, your blood. Feel it spiral into the very marrow, the hidden places. Speak again. Every drop of blood remembers thee. Every cell awakens to thy healing name. And now return to the whole. See your body, lit from crown to soul, as a lamp of God, a shining cathedral, a living scripture made of bone and breath. Whisper with me, I am not this pain. I am not this fear. I am the light that lives behind them. Divine Physician, walk through me. Heal not just the symptom, but the story. Rewrite my inner script with thy healing word. And now, be still, not passive, but sacred, for you have summoned the infinite. And where he is invoked in love, healing rushes like a river. You are no longer alone in your suffering. You are held in the light of one who never forgets, never condemns, never withholds. The healing has already begun. Now, beloved, we descend. We descend beyond the words, beyond even the breath, into the sacred core, where healing does not happen to you but flows from you. There, in the silence behind thought, God waits, not as a rescuer, but as your truest self. Close your eyes deeper, not outwardly, but inwardly, and feel yourself beginning to dissolve. Dissolve like sugar in warm tea. Dissolve like a feather resting upon a lake. Your name, your roles, your worries, they are not being denied. They are being laid aside, like garments at the edge of a sacred river. Let your awareness fall gently into the heart, not the organ, but the luminous space within the chest where the soul breathes. Let it fall like a stone into the center of a still pond. No splash, no sound, just depth. Feel the ripples disappear. Feel the inner waters settle. Now breathe as if you are breathing with God, not just in Him. Inhale softly, I am spirit. Exhale even softer, I am free. Again, Inhale, I am light. Exhale, I am love. One more. Inhale, I am his. Exhale, he is mine. And now, go still, completely. Not to sleep, but to awaken. For when the senses sleep, the soul wakes. And in that wakefulness, the real healing begins. Imagine yourself now at the edge of a clear, still pool, deep in a forest untouched by time. The air is still, the trees silent, the moon hanging high above like the eye of God. You kneel at the edge of that water and gaze into your own reflection, not as flesh, but as light. The ripples fade, and you see not your face, but your essence, not your age, but your eternity. You are not the illness. You are not the story. You are not the diagnosis or the grief. You are not the lost years or the aching muscles. You are the one who has witnessed them all, silent, still, immortal. In this still pool, the body and soul remember what the mind forgot, that God has never left, that the breath of healing was always one silent prayer away, that beneath the noise of striving, beneath the ache of seeking was always this, stillness. Let the silence now spread within you, like incense in a temple, like dawn over a mountain. Let it touch your brain, your heart, your belly, your spine, and where it touches, feel every burden lift, every knot unravel, every cry dissolve. Say nothing now. Be the stillness. For in this moment, the divine is not coming to you. He is already here. Beloved, the body may forget, and the mind may wander, but the soul never forgets. It carries the memory of divine wholeness like a flame that cannot be extinguished by pain, nor time, nor death. You are not trying to become healed. You are being invited to remember that you were never broken. Inhale slowly, and with that breath, allow your consciousness to drift beyond this moment, beyond this room, beyond this life. Let the breath carry you like a silver boat over still waters. Let it bring you to the threshold of eternal memory. For before the name you now bear, there was a radiant light, and that light was you, and it is you still. See now within the temple of your own awareness, the vision of yourself before birth. No form, no wound, no fear, just a luminous soul held in the embrace of the infinite. You were not created in weakness. You were sent forth as light, perfect, fearless, strong. The body you wear is not a prison, but a garment for the soul's journey through time. The aches you feel are not curses. They are the echoes of lessons you came to learn and then transcend. Speak now gently within, as if remembering a vow long buried. I came here to awaken. I chose this path not to suffer, but to remember God in all things. Even in pain, my soul has always known its origin. And now visualize as if you are standing beneath a great celestial waterfall, the divine current of remembrance pouring over you. It is not made of water, but of light, a golden cascading silence that washes away every illusion, every sorrow, every forgetfulness. Let it touch your spine, your heart, your eyes. Let it carry away the dust of confusion. Let it polish your inner mirror until at last you see Him, God, reflected back. You do not need to become anything more than you are. You only need to stop forgetting. And in this very moment, you are remembering. This is not imagination, it is remembrance. This is not invention, it is reunion. Your soul is singing now, not with words, but with stillness. It is calling out from the temple of your being, whispering gently, I am whole, I am healed, I am home. Stay here, beloved. Let the next breath be a vow. Let the next exhale be an offering. Let the next moment be the altar where healing begins. Not through effort, but through sacred memory. Your body is not an obstacle on your spiritual path. It is the path. It is the living altar where the soul and the infinite meet. The divine, having taken form in you, waits not for punishment, but for praise. Your body does not need rejection. It needs remembrance. It does not respond to criticism. It responds to love. Now bring your awareness to the body once more, but not as something you own. See it now as something you serve, a temple built by God, cell by cell, breath by breath. Let your hands rest softly upon your heart or your belly or wherever the ache has been. And now speak to that place, not with frustration, not with fear, but with reverent tenderness. Say gently within yourself, I love you, I thank you, I release you into peace. Let every syllable be wrapped in divine compassion. Your body's listening. The skin listens. The bones listen. The organs, so long burdened with worry and rush, now pause and listen. The inner doctor awakens through your voice. Your consciousness is the conductor of the divine current, and the current moves where love is directed. Now breathe again, and with this breath, imagine divine light flowing downward, from the spiritual eye between the eyebrows, like a luminous river descending the spine. As it flows, it touches each region of the body. It enters the brain and nourishes the nerves with peace. It enters the throat and clears away old griefs left unspoken. It reaches the heart and sings a lullaby to every cell. The light floods the lungs, the stomach, the arms and legs, until every corner of your being begins to glow. Now place your awareness in the soles of your feet. Say silently, thank you, walk in light. Move awareness to your knees. Thank you, bend in grace. Now your hands, thank you, serve with love. And now return to the heart. You have suffered, but now you are remembered. Let the light expand outward. You are no longer a being of flesh alone. You are a luminous field of divine intelligence, healing from the inside by the simple miracle of sacred attention. This is not fantasy. This is soul science. The body is not moved by commands, it is moved by love. Now repeat slowly, once for the body, once for the soul, once for God. I am light, I am whole, I am the child of spirit. Once more with a longer breath. I am light, I am whole, I am the child of spirit. One final time with full devotion. I am light, I am whole, I am the child of spirit. Feel now the cells softening, the heart opening, the brain relaxing into a divine coordination. Healing is not coming, it is happening, because love has been spoken, and the temple has listened. Now, beloved, be very still. You have spoken to the temple. You have called the divine physician. There is nothing more to fix, nothing more to say. You have opened the door, and now, let God step in. For in the deepest stillness, all true healing unfolds. Stillness is not the absence of movement. It is the presence of God. When the surface of the lake is calm, the stars can reflect upon it. And so it is with your consciousness. When the breath is quiet and the mind rests like a child in its mother's arms, then God's reflection can appear in the waters of your soul. Breathe now, not as a task, but as a prayer. Let the breath enter gently and leave even more gently. Let it be circular, quiet, unforced. Let it be the breath that breathed creation itself. Let each breath be an offering, a surrender, a whisper, thy will, not mine. Now drop even the breath, for the breath will now follow you. Sink below it, into the eternal current, the silent tide of divine awareness. Become the watcher, the quiet one behind thought. You are not the thinker. You are the presence that sees the thought come and go, like a cloud drifting across a mountain peak. Be still, and in this stillness, know, the infinite is healing you, without your worry, without your pleading, without your effort. It is enough now to let God remember you. It is enough to be still and say inwardly, I am yours. No need to analyze, no need to name, no need to justify the pain or solve the mystery. You are not here to conquer the body, but to let it be dissolved into light. You are not here to fix yourself, but to reveal the self that was never broken. Stay in this stillness now. Let 5 breaths pass in silence. Each breath deeper, each breath emptier of self, each breath fuller of spirit. Pause here in video for silence if needed. You do not need to feel anything special. You do not need to achieve peace. Healing is not measured by sensation. It is recognized by release. And in this sacred moment, the divine is working through your stillness. Every cell listens, every nerve responds. The inner doctor is at work because you have remembered the truth. You are not alone. You are not separate. You are not forgotten. You are being healed by the one who formed your body from stars and silence. Beloved, it is time to gently return to your outer awareness. But do not leave this temple you have entered. You are not going back to the noise of the world. You are bringing the light of this stillness into the world. Let your breath become a little fuller now, but not faster. Let it rise like the morning sun over a calm ocean, soft, radiant, unhurried. Wiggle your fingers gently, your toes. Sense your body not as weight, but as a vessel of vibration, carrying the light you've received to every corner of your being. Feel the crown of your head, warm, luminous, open. Feel your heart, no longer bound by pain or fear, but expanded, softened, sanctified. Feel your spine, a divine ladder between heaven and earth. You have become the altar and the flame, the temple and the light that dwells within it. Now speak inwardly. I am healed, not because I demanded it, but because I remembered who I am. Every atom of my being is now harmonized by the silent current of spirit. I walk in my body as a soul. I walk in the world as a child of God. Let this prayer now become the seal upon your soul's altar. Beloved Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, thank you for dwelling in me, as me, for healing me with thy stillness. I offer this body, this breath, this life into thy hands. Use it for thy joy. Guide it in thy peace. Awaken it again and again until I know I am never apart from thee. And so now, beloved, we bless every cell with remembrance, every thought with stillness, every step with divine rhythm. You are not returning to yourself. You are returning as yourself. Take one final breath, deep, silent, and sacred. As you exhale, smile gently. This smile is not yours. It is God's signature within you. Should you feel called to revisit this sacred space, you are always welcome. This stillness is not in the video. It is not in the words. It is not in the voice. It is in you. And it waits for you as faithfully as the dawn. If your soul was touched by this healing, speak it aloud or share your blessing with others. Let this light multiply. Let this stillness ripple. Let this temple of divine remembrance rise in all hearts. May God bless you, and may the silence become your song. Have you ever awoken in the early hours of dawn, your heart trembling, your eyes damp, your breath as though it had traveled through unseen valleys? You sit up in your bed, unable to name what you feel. Perhaps you have just seen a place you've never been, heard a voice without a mouth, held the hand of someone long since gone. And though it vanishes, that dream so fragile, so strange leaves a lingering presence, like the scent of incense after the flame has gone out. Beloved soul, what if I told you that these are not accidents of sleep, nor random firings of the mind? What if I told you that your soul is whispering to you in symbols, that your inner self is trying, gently and repeatedly, to awaken you even while the body rests? For each night, when your physical form lies still, the soul slips silently from its cage of flesh and bone and returns to subtler realms, just as the bird returns to its nest when the sun sets. In those sacred hours, you are no longer identified with name, occupation, or even form. You are again what you always were, a luminous current of consciousness, clothed in the astral body, moving through inner dimensions known not by logic, but by vibration. And as you pass through the spheres of subtle light and thought, your soul speaks. It speaks not in the tongue of your culture or intellect, but in the universal language of dreams, images, symbols, echoes, and scenes that rise and dissolve like waves upon the infinite sea. I have watched many souls ignore these messages, treating them as nothing more than shadows of digestion or echoes of yesterday's worries. But I say unto you, your dreams are not illusions. They are soul symbols. They are doors between the visible and the invisible, windows into karmic roots, astral memories, divine encounters, and the movements of your spiritual evolution. Do not let them go unnoticed, for while the world sleeps in forgetfulness, the awakened soul listens, and what it hears in the night can heal, purify, and liberate lifetimes of longing. So let us walk together now, not into sleep, but through it into the sacred interior where dreams are no longer dreams, but revelations in disguise. I will show you 7 ways your soul speaks when the world is silent. Listen closely. God is whispering to you, not with thunder, but with dream, not with command, but with symbol, not with fear, but with eternal love. Shall we begin? This life you are living, this breath you are drawing, this moment you are experiencing it may feel solid, heavy, unquestionable. But I tell you, this too is a dream. Not in the dismissive way the world uses the word, but in the highest, most sacred sense. Just as you awaken from a dream at night and laugh at the things that felt so real, so urgent, so painful one day, you shall awaken from this incarnation, from this role you are playing, from this fleeting chapter of eternal existence, and you shall realize that your name, your country, your triumphs, and even your tragedies were passing shadows cast on the screen of divine consciousness. I have said it before and I say it again. This universe is a motion picture show projected by God on the screen of space and time. The body is the theater, the soul is the audience, and God is the light behind it all. The moment you realize this not as philosophy, but as direct perception, you begin to awaken, not just from nighttime sleep, but from the slumber of Maya itself. Do you not see? In your nightly dreams, you may experience 30 years of life compressed into a few minutes. You may grieve, rejoice, marry, fall, rise, and then awaken to realize that none of it happened, yet it all happened. Where did it come from? Where did it go? Who was the thinker? And who was the doer? In the dream, you were convinced of your reality, of your struggle, of your identity. Upon awakening, all of it dissolved like mist before the sun. But what of this waking world, which also begins and ends with the opening and closing of the eyes? Does it not follow the same rhythm of appearance and disappearance? You sleep and awaken from dreams. You are born and awaken into the world. One day, you shall sleep again and awaken beyond the world. These are not different realities. They are concentric layers of the same dream projected from the invisible motion reel of consciousness. The ancient sages called this waking state the Jagrat dream, the dream of material life, and the sleeping state, the Svapna dream, the dream of the astral life. Both are dreams. Both are experiences of the soul through different instruments. Your waking world is made of atoms. Your dream world is made of thoughts. Yet both emerge from the mind, from the vibrations of consciousness. In the dream, you may meet people you do not know, travel to places you've never visited, speak words you've never heard, and yet all of them are born from your inner self. How can that be, if your mind is but the small brain behind your eyes? No, beloved, it is your deeper self, the soul, that creates, witnesses, and dissolves all these realms. And so, we come to the mystery. If both the waking state and the dream state are projections of the soul's awareness, what then is the true reality? I tell you, the only true reality is the still, silent, changeless spirit behind all forms. Just as the screen remains untouched by the pictures dancing across it, so the spirit remains untouched by the joys and sorrows of this world or the next. The goal of the yogi is not merely to awaken from the dream of the night, but from the greater illusion of separation and limitation that clouds the waking hours. To do so, you must become aware of the silent witness within the one who dreams the dream of life, but is not bound by it. Let this be your realization, that life is not a series of random events, but a sacred cinema. The soul, seated in the auditorium of God's temple, watches the play unfold. It laughs, it cries, but it does not forget that behind the actors and the script is the light, the divine projector. That alone is real. So too with your dreams. They are not to be dismissed as fantasy, nor idolized as prophecy, but revered as another screen upon which the soul may reflect, remember, and rise. And now that you know life itself is a dream, let us enter the next layer of that dream where the soul begins to speak in the night, not to distract, but to awaken you from within. Each night, as your eyelids descend like the gentle closing of a sacred gate, your soul performs a silent miracle. Released from the bondage of the waking body, it begins to loosen its identity from the dense vibrations of the flesh and subtly ascend, as a swan rises from the surface of a still lake into a higher sky, drifting through the corridors of the astral world in a body of light, wrapped not in blood and bone, but in thought and energy. And what it gathers there, what it sees, touches, recalls, and sometimes relives, returns with it not as memory but as dream. These dreams are not illusions, beloved. They are echoes of journeys, murmurings of karma, expressions of your hidden self, sacred letters sent across the border between worlds by the deepest part of you. They are not born of neurons and digestion, as material thinkers suppose, but of the soul's nocturnal dialogue with the greater reality behind the veil of form. When you lie down to sleep, your senses withdraw from the outer world. Sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell retreat to their source like turtles pulling into their shells. The physical brain, no longer animated by conscious attention, quiets its chatter. But the soul, the soul does not sleep. It cannot sleep, for it is eternally awake in God. Instead, it shifts its station of awareness into the astral body, the subtle sheath of light that remains unseen to mortal eyes, but is as real as the breeze that dances unseen among the leaves. In this subtle body, the soul moves not in the physical world of gravity and solidity, but in realms made of light and thought, where form is fluid, space is relative, and time bends around intention, like a river around a bend. In this inner landscape, the soul encounters karmic impressions, symbolic teachings, and sometimes the presence of divine beings. But because the soul must eventually return to the physical temple, these vast experiences are translated, sometimes distorted through the filter of the subconscious, into the language we call dreams. These dreams are not random. They are purposeful transmissions from the deeper strata of consciousness. Some are born from unresolved karma, lingering vibrations of emotion, desire, and fear, stored in the subtle spine like echoes in a deep well. Some are reflections of your spiritual condition, mirrors showing you not the face you wear by day, but the shape of your longings, attachments, and lessons. Others are visitations, brief but luminous encounters with saints, departed loved ones, or even the infinite spirit appearing through symbol, vision, or voice. And still others are cleansing dreams, where your soul, tired of repression or forgetfulness, begins to purify itself by dramatizing what you cannot yet feel fully while awake. Imagine for a moment that your mind is a vast canvas, and your soul, each night, takes up the brush. It paints with colors of memory, vibration, desire, and divinity. Sometimes the painting is chaotic, like a storm seen through stained glass. Sometimes it is serene, like the moonlight on still water. But always, it speaks. The question is not whether the soul communicates, but whether the mind has become quiet enough, humble enough, still enough to listen without distortion. And herein lies the sacred art of dream understanding, not to dissect the dream with logic, but to receive it with reverence. The astral world, where most dreams originate, is a real realm, a world of color, more vivid than this one, of sound more harmonious, of movement more fluid. It is the world you shall enter after death, and the world you enter each night, if only briefly. It is the realm of your true home, the place where thoughts take shape instantly, where saints walk without feet, and where God can appear as light, or music, or form. But your awareness of that world depends on your purity, your devotion, and your stillness. If your inner world is crowded with noise and emotion, the soul's messages return to you as jumbled scenes and strange symbols. But if your inner sky is quiet, then even a single dream can become a scripture, a revelation, a moment of awakening that changes your course forever. I say to you now, do not dismiss your dreams. Do not roll over and forget them as you chase the urgency of morning. For some dreams are not dreams at all, they are the soul remembering its home. They are messages carried across dimensions, fragments of forgotten lifetimes, or letters from the divine written not in ink, but in vibration. Let your pillow become your altar. Let the night become your temple, and let your dreams become the sacred book your soul reads each night to remember what it truly is. And now, having understood why the soul dreams, let us begin to decode the 7 sacred categories through which your higher self is speaking. These are not merely dreams. They are steps on the ladder of awakening. These are the dreams that carry no fragrance of heaven, no whisper from beyond, no echo from the halls of the soul, but they are not to be scorned or cast aside. They are the surface reflections of the daily mind, the mirror images of what you have thought, felt, or feared in the hours when your eyes were open and your hands were busy. In these dreams, the subconscious plays back the film of your waking life, as if to ask, Is this what you want to carry into tomorrow? You might dream of walking through your office again, or of speaking with someone you just saw, or reliving an argument you hoped had already dissolved. The details may shift, and the logic may fragment, but the emotion remains it is your own restlessness reprojected onto the inner screen. And yet, though these dreams arise from the clutter of the mind and not from the depths of the soul, they are not meaningless, for even static has a frequency. If the same symbols return night after night, a flooded room, a lost bag, a falling elevator, it is not random. It is your inner being trying to catch your attention through repetition. The ego lives in avoidance, but the soul loves to reflect. These dreams, though mundane, are the fingerprints of your inner turbulence. Like footprints in wet sand, they show you where you've been. They may not tell you who you are, but they will surely show you where your thoughts are still caught still, orbiting around desire, fear, or unresolved memory. Think of these dreams as smoke and not the fire, but the sign that something still burns within. Yogananda taught that even the shallowest dreams serve a function. They clear the mind's immediate impressions so that deeper realities may rise. Just as a pond must let its surface ripples settle before it can reflect the stars, your subconscious must empty its daily burdens before divine symbols can appear. So do not resent these dreams, nor chase them for answers. Simply notice them, acknowledge them, and gently let them pass, knowing they are the veil before the vision, the curtain before the play begins. Now we descend a little deeper into the subterranean chambers of the self, where emotion becomes vibration and karma becomes movement. In these dreams, something is being burned away not by the intellect, not by conscious choice, but by the soul's own inner fire, which longs for purification even while the ego clings to retention. These dreams are not gentle. They may shake you, drench you in emotion, pull you through scenes of chaos, rage, weeping, or fear. You may wake up trembling, disoriented, or even ashamed. But do not fear these dreams. They are not punishments, they are surgeries. In purging dreams, the astral body releases psychic toxins the way the physical body might sweat out fever. A long-suppressed grief, a repressed longing, a childhood wound, a karmic impression from another life, these energies cannot remain buried forever. They press against the soul's light like dark clouds pressing against the sun. And so in sleep, when your conscious resistance is weakened, the soul takes the opportunity to purge. You may dream of screaming, of fighting someone, of being chased or falling endlessly. You may witness exaggerated versions of your own faults. But again, beloved, do not fear this. It is not what you are, it is what you are releasing. Yogananda taught that many of our deepest karmas are not transmuted through external action, but through inner vibratory release. A karmic seed may be burned in an astral fire long before it would have bloomed into outer suffering. The soul is wise. It often chooses to suffer in symbolic dreams, what it does not wish to suffer in waking life. So when you wake from such a dream, instead of asking, "Why did I dream this?" ask, "What have I let go of?" And if you can, thank your soul. It has done work while you were asleep that the waking self would have resisted for decades. Among the rarest but most unforgettable of all dreams are those that come as crystal, as certainty, as knowing unclouded by fear or emotion. These are not murky, illogical, or forgettable. They are as clear as morning light. In such dreams, something is shown not invented by the mind, not recycled from memory, but revealed by a higher law. You may see an event, a place, a person, something yet to come, and feel an unmistakable vibration of truth around it. These dreams do not shout, they whisper, but their whisper is the voice of destiny. Yogananda often spoke of such dreams, visions of coming events, warnings given to those who were spiritually receptive, moments when the soul peers slightly beyond the veil and sees what lies ahead not in rigid fate, but in energetic probability. These are karmic glimpses, grace given so that you may prepare, pivot, or pray. And while some of these dreams predict trials, others reveal blessings, a soul you will meet, a place you are destined to go, a purpose that has not yet fully awakened. To discern these dreams from ordinary illusions, notice how they feel. They will come with silence, not chaos, peace, not fear. They will leave a fragrance of meaning behind, even if you cannot fully understand them yet. Often they are accompanied by symbols like stares, letters, a figure of wisdom. The feeling they leave in your heart will be calm, knowing, not excitement or confusion. And most importantly, they do not inflate the ego. They call the soul. When such a dream arrives, do not rush to act. Pray first. Ask for inner confirmation. Write it down. Let it steep in the chamber of your heart. And when the outer events align, you will remember that it was shown long before it appeared. Because time, beloved, is only a curtain, and the soul sees through it when God allows. There is a type of dream that is not a dream at all. Not in the way the world understands dreams. These are not fabrications of the subconscious mind, not mere rearrangements of daily events or internal desires, but are, in truth, soul journeys, conscious or semi-conscious voyages taken by the subtle astral body when it is no longer confined by the gross prison of flesh. Every night, when the body sleeps, the soul retreats inward, drawing its awareness away from the senses, away from the outer stage of Maya, and begins its return to subtler dimensions, just as a turtle withdraws into its shell, not to disappear, but to become aware of an inner kingdom invisible to the outward gaze. And on some nights, if your vibrations are high, your heart surrendered, and your awareness light, you may find yourself not simply dreaming, but moving through vast luminous corridors, floating through astral landscapes, entering temples of light, or speaking with beings who do not belong to this world, but to the higher octaves of existence. These are the dreams where you fly not with wings of flesh, but with the intention of spirit, where you pass through walls not because you are a ghost, but because matter has ceased to obstruct you, where you feel lighter, freer, awake within the dream itself. Often, the scenery in these dreams is radiant, more vivid than waking life, bathed in colors not seen by earthly eyes, surrounded by silence that sings and light that breathes. You may find yourself walking through golden halls, attending spiritual gatherings in invisible monasteries, or even sitting before a figure of divine wisdom who looks upon you not with judgment but with unending remembrance. You may meet loved ones who have passed on not in memory, but in presence, and you may awaken weeping, not from sadness, but from the overwhelming joy of reunion that transcends time and form. Yogananda taught that the astral world is not a fantasy, but a subtler realm of God's creation, filled with wondrous vibrational realiticities, gardens, temples, oceans of light inhabited by countless beings who are working out their karma, learning, praying, evolving toward final union with spirit. And your soul, being not bound to this body, has access to this world each night, though you rarely remember it. But sometimes, just sometimes, the veils part slightly, and you bring back the memory, not as a complete movie, but as a taste, a residue, a glowing ember that warms your chest long after you wake. To recognize such a dream, observe how it feels. Were you lucid? Did the experience have a gravity beyond the ordinary? Did you awaken with peace, as if your burdens had been lifted, your purpose reaffirmed, or your faith revived? These are the signs, and though such experiences cannot be forced, they can be invited. Keep your life pure. Keep your intentions devotional. Practice inner stillness before sleep. Say to God, if it be thy will, take me into thy higher realms tonight. Let me remember who I am behind this face and form. And one night, the door will open, and you will not simply dream, you will journey. There comes a dream, unbidden and unforgettable, in which you find yourself wearing a body not your own, speaking a language you've never studied, moving through cities you have never visited in this incarnation, loving people whose names feel like distant songs on the wind. And yet when you wake, you do not feel confused. You feel haunted, moved, as if some deeper layer of your being was just now stirred from a 1,000-year slumber. These are not ordinary dreams, nor are they the whims of an overactive imagination. These are glimpses, soul fragments, karmic echoes rising through the still waters of subconscious memory to touch the surface of your awareness, saying, you have lived before, you have walked these roads, you have worn this face. Yogananda affirmed again and again that the soul is ancient, older than stone, older than star sen, that each lifetime is but a chapter in the soul's journey toward perfection. The memories of those lives are not gone. They are simply sealed within the soul's causal blueprint, stored in vibrational patterns buried deep within the spine, and occasionally, whether in meditation, trauma, love, or sleep, they rise. Not to entertain, but to remind, to heal, to balance. Past life dreams are often emotionally charged, filled with love, grief, terror, or awe that feels disproportionate to the symbols in the dream. You may dream of standing on a battlefield, or watching a loved one die, or wandering as a monk through mist-covered mountains, or sailing a ship into foreign waters. And though your waking mind cannot rationally connect these scenes to your current life, your soul recognizes them. The heart remembers what the brain cannot. These dreams do not arrive randomly. They come when the karmic cycle of a past deed or unfinished bond is ready to be understood or released. Yogananda himself shared memories of past incarnations as a yogi in the Himalayas, as a warrior, as a student of Kristan, taught that remembering is not an end, but a responsibility. If such a dream arises for you, do not seek more like it for the sake of fascination. Instead ask, what lesson does this carry? What unfinished thread seeks closure? What gift or burden do I need to integrate now? Use the dream as a compass, not to return to the past, but to liberate yourself from it. And remember, your soul is not the person you once were. It is the divine spark that wore those forms like garments. You are not a prisoner of those lives. You are the one who passed through them, gathering experience, sowing karma, and now awakening to the eternal thread behind them all. Welcome the memory, but walk forward in freedom. There are some nights, blessed, luminous nights, when the veil between this world and the next becomes so thin, so translucent, that it dissolves entirely, and the soul, freed from the dense fog of ego and illusion, comes face to face with a presence so overwhelming, so familiar, so filled with light and love and ancient remembrance, that the dreamer awakens weeping, not from sadness, but from the unbearable sweetness of having touched God. These dreams are not dreams in the way men speak of dreams. They are visions, communions, sacred moments of contact between the finite and the infinite. In such a dream, you may see the face of your guru glowing with eternal compassion, or the eyes of Divine Mother filled with boundless love. Or perhaps you are standing before Christ, Krishna, or a formless presence of radiant golden light that speaks without words and touches without hands, and yet leaves you changed forever. These are not mere symbolic dreams, these are visitations. They often come during times of great inner transformation or outer crisis, when the soul is broken open by suffering or yearning and becomes, even for a moment, receptive to the vibration of spirit. In the language of mystics, this is known as the descent of grace, the moment when God comes uninvited but always welcomed, not as a doctrine or belief, but as an undeniable presence. Yogananda taught that in moments of deep devotion, prayer, or surrender, the soul sends out a vibrational calling, inaudible yearning, and the divine responds, not always through miracles of the outer world, but often through the dream state where the ego is quieted and the soul can hear. In such dreams, you may feel an overwhelming sense of being held, healed, known. The air feels different. The light is not of this world. Time stands still. Sometimes, no words are spoken, and yet entire volumes of truth are conveyed in a single gaze. Other times, you may hear a voice a voice from without, but a voice rising from within that sounds like the echo of your own deepest self speaking in the accent of the eternal. And when you awaken, you may find your pillow wet with tears, your chest burning with peace, your life subtly or even dramatically shifted. These are not dreams to interpret, but to cherish. Not puzzles to solve, but holy waters to drink slowly and reverently. Divine visitation dreams are also deeply personal. What appears as Christ to one may appear as Krishna to another, or as a luminous ancestor, or a robed saint, or even a simple light that speaks nothing and yet says everything. For the divine comes in the form most suited to awaken your heart. And when such a dream occurs, know that it is not your merit that earned it, but your soul's ripeness. It is grace pure, unearned, and transformative. Yogananda often said that one moment of true contact with God, even in a dream, can burn away years of karma and awaken the soul from its long slumber. So if such a dream has ever touched you, return to it often. Meditate upon it. Do not reduce it to analysis. It was real. More real, perhaps, than this world of noise and name and form. And if you have not yet had such a dream, prepare for it not by waiting passively, but by living actively in love, devotion, purity, purity, and silence. For the divine visits those whose hearts are tuned to its vibration. And when it comes, even once, you will never again be the same. Not all dreams are filled with light. Not all night visions bring peace. There are dreams that disturb, that unsettle, that shake us awake in the middle of the night with pounding heart and cold sweat, and a feeling of having just escaped some unseen danger. These are the nightmares, the dark, confusing, sometimes terrifying journeys through shadowlands of the subconscious, filled with symbols of fear, chaos, pursuit, or helplessness. And while the world often dismisses such dreams as the random discharges of the anxious mind, Yogananda taught that even nightmares can carry spiritual meaning. They may be warnings, they may be karmic echoes, or they may simply be the astral body attempting to shake loose the chains of suppressed tendencies and unresolved pain. To understand a nightmare through the lens of the soul, we must first abandon the idea that discomfort is always to be avoided. Sometimes the soul brings up fear not to harm you, but to heal you. Nightmares may arise when karmic energy is surfacing, when unacknowledged desires or traumas from this life or another press against the boundary of your waking mind and seek release. They may reflect lower astral turbulence, dark entities or energies drawn to the residue of your unprocessed emotion. Or, more importantly, they may be sacred messages, trying in dramatic form to get your attention, to warn you of a path, a person, a pattern that must be addressed before it manifests harm in the outer world. In the astral realm, form is fluid emotion, becomes landscape, thought becomes action, intention becomes architecture. And so, a nightmare may appear as a monster, but what you are truly seeing is not a demon from without, but an untransformed fear within. It may appear as falling, but it reflects a loss of spiritual grounding. It may appear as being chased, but in truth, you are fleeing some part of yourself that begs integration. Yogananda advised that one of the most powerful spiritual acts a soul can perform is to become lucid in a dream and turn to face what chases it. In doing so, you take back your power, not just in the dream world, but in your inner life. If you experience recurring nightmares, do not merely avoid sleep or attempt to forget. Instead, bring the light of God into your sleep. Pray before bed. Visualize divine light surrounding your aura. Ask the masters to walk with you into your dream world. And if you awaken from a nightmare, do not panic. Sit in stillness. Ask, what was this trying to show me? Write it down, meditate, and then speak to God. Let this fear dissolve in thy light. Let me not run from shadow, but awaken in truth. Because ultimately, even nightmares are teachers. And in the spiritual life, no lesson is wasted when met with awareness. Even the darkest dream can become the gateway to the brightest dawn. If we walk through it not with fear, but with the lamp of the soul held high and the name of God on our lips. To truly receive what the soul is offering through dreams, one must first learn not to merely observe but to listen, to feel, to attune. Dreams are not meant to be dissected like the parts of a machine, for they are not mechanical events. They are living scriptures of the subconscious and superconscious mind, written in the ink of symbol and emotion, flowing from the hidden rivers of karma, memory, intuition, and divine guidance. And just as a sacred text cannot be grasped by the intellect alone but must be read with the heart, so too must your dreams be understood not by analysis but by vibration. Yogananda often reminded his disciples, feel the dream's vibration, not just its plot. For the outer story, whether it is flying through ancient temples, falling into darkness, or speaking with a radiant saintess but the husk, the real nourishment lies in the feeling, tone, the spiritual residue that lingers like incense in the breath of dawn. It is there, in the silent mood left behind, that the true meaning whispers its name. The language of the soul is not English, Hindi, or any spoken tongue. It is symbol, archetype, energy. A staircase in your dream is not just architecture. It is spiritual ascent, an inner invitation to rise. A flood is not simply water, it is the unconscious breaking through, a tide of emotions seeking release or rebirth. Fire may mean destruction on the surface, but in spiritual truth, it is often purification burning away old tendencies, igniting new clarity. A locked door may not mean you are trapped, but that you are being asked to knock more deeply, to find the right vibration to enter. And a light in the distance may not simply be hope, it may be the actual presence of God calling to you in image form. To begin hearing these symbols, you must cultivate the silence in which they speak. Noise dulls the soul's antennae. Constant input screens, music, voices, worry clogs, the subtle channels that receive divine impressions. Therefore, it is essential to build a lifestyle of inner quietude. Before sleep, take time to withdraw from the senses. Dim the lights, sit in stillness, close the eyes, and withdraw the energy from the outer world into the spine. Offer a prayer, not a prayer of begging, but of surrender. Beloved, speak to me tonight in the language of thy light. Let my soul remember what it came to learn. Let my dreams carry thy touch. Then, as you lie down, breathe deeply not just into the lungs, but into the heart and hold the feeling of openness. Say inwardly, tonight, I listen. In this receptive state, the dreams that arise will carry greater clarity, for the conscious mind will not resist or reinterpret them with its noise. Upon waking, do not reach for the phone, the to-do list, the distractions of Maya. Instead, remain in bed for a few sacred minutes. Close the eyes again, feel back into the night. What images linger? What feelings remain? Often, a dream vanishes not because it was insignificant, but because the waking mind tramples it with activity. To honor the message of the soul, create a space for it. Keep a dream journal by your bedside, not to analyze in the worldly sense, but to document in devotion. Write what you remember and ask your higher self to reveal more. Over time, patterns will emerge not just of what you dream, but of how God is speaking to you through symbols. You will begin to recognize divine fingerprints in what once seemed random. And as you become fluent in this symbolic language, dreams will shift. They will become more vibrant, more instructional, more soul-directed, because the giver of the message will know the listener is awake. In this way, the night becomes not just rest but revelation. Sleep becomes not just unconsciousness but communion. The dream world, which once seemed murky or meaningless, begins to shimmer with signs, lessons, and love, as if the entire cosmos were writing to you each night in stars and silence. And you awake, not only rested but remembered. There is a subtle danger in entering the realm of dreams, unprepared, not because dreams themselves are treacherous, but because the ego, ever eager to seize control, to assign meanings, to wear spiritual insight as a crown, can quickly turn the sacred mirror of the soul into a distorted lens of confusion, fantasy, and delusion. When we interpret dreams through the lower mind, through desire, fear, ego attachment, or intellectual speculation, we do not decode them, we deform them. A divine warning becomes a personal insult. A karmic lesson is mistaken for a prophecy of doom. A soul's cry for healing is twisted into blame toward another. And in this way, what was once a luminous message wrapped in symbol becomes a tangled knot of anxiety and error. Yogananda warned against this very thing, not because dreams are unimportant, but because they are too important to be handled by the ego's careless hands. Dreams, he said, are not toys for the intellect. They are sacred scriptures of the soul, written in the language of vibration. Imagine, if you will, a man who receives a dream of a great wave crashing over his home. He awakens in fear, convinced disaster is coming. He becomes obsessed with flood insurance, worries endlessly, and lives in fear for years, yet the wave never arrives. What he does not realize is that the dream was not about water at all. It was about his emotions, his spiritual resistance to change, the cleansing that his soul was crying out for. Had he been still, had he meditated on the feeling rather than the image, he would have understood that the dream was a mercy, not a threat. And yet, because he interpreted through fear, he invited more fear. This is the danger not of the dream itself, but of misinterpretation through the filter of Maya. The ego longs to possess meaning. It wants to say, this dream means I am special. That dream means she is wrong. This image proves I will fail. That symbol shows I will succeed. But the soul speaks not in such binary terms. It whispers truth through paradox, teaches through humility, reveals through silence. When you rush to interpret a dream with the analytical mind, you close the door on the deeper vibration that was meant to be felt, not dissected. Just as the petals of a flower cannot be opened by force without destroying its beauty, So too, the meaning of a true dream cannot be pried open by logicit, must be warmed into revelation by stillness and devotion. Yogananda often shared the story of a disciple who had a recurring dream of falling into darkness. The disciple was disturbed and began to believe he was spiritually failing. But the master, looking into the man's soul, smiled and said, "No, my child, the dream is not about descent, it is about release. You are falling but into surrender." The student wept, not out of fear, but out of joy. For now he understood what the dream had always meant. This is the power of right attunement, not to change the dream, but to perceive it rightly. To avoid the trap of misinterpretation, one must cultivate spiritual neutrality. Do not chase good dreams or run from bad ones. Do not assume every appearance of your teacher is literal, nor every fear symbolic. Instead, ask this: what is the vibration of this dream? Does it leave me uplifted, humbled, open, still? If the answer is yes, then it has served your soul. If it leaves you agitated, inflated, or confused, then return to silence. Meditate. Let the image dissolve in the light of God and ask, what is the highest truth here? Often, it will not come in words. It will come in a shift of energy, a quiet knowing, a sudden peace. That is how the soul speaks. Above all, treat the dream world with reverence. Do not parade your dreams before others seeking approval. Do not base great life decisions on untested visions. And never assume that because you dreamed of divinity, you are yet divine. Dreams are invitations, not confirmations. They are signposts, not destinations. To walk the path of dream interpretation rightly is to walk with humility, silence, devotion, and the unshakable awareness that every symbol, every figure, every story you encounter in sleep is but a reflection of your own unfolding consciousness, filtered through karmic memory, inner longing, and the infinite creativity of God. When you carry that reverence into the dream world, the noise subsides, the false fades, and what remains is the pure silver thread of divine communication, unmistakable, unshakable, and utterly transforming. The sacred potential of dreams is not merely to reveal, but to awaken, to initiate the soul into deeper communion with its origin, its karma, its destiny, and its beloved. Just as temples are not built overnight but brick by sacred brick, so too is the inner temple of dream awareness constructed by devotional discipline, stillness, and sincerity. Dreams are not isolated incidents, they are threads in the greater tapestry of your soul's unfolding, and when approached with reverence, they cease to be fleeting illusions and become nightly sacraments, spiritual classrooms in which the soul studies in silence while the body sleeps. To begin the practice of spiritual awakening through dreams, one must first purify the approach. Do not treat your dreams as entertainment, nor as puzzles to be solved with cleverness, but as holy texts composed by your own higher self. As you prepare for sleep, treat your bedroom as a sanctuary. Dim the lights not just to rest the eyes, but to quiet the senses. Let the final sound you hear be not a screen's glow or the noise of the world, but a sacred chant, a whispered prayer, a few breaths laden with yearning. Sit on your bed, spine straight, eyes half closed, and bring the attention inward, not to the worries of the day, not to what you want to dream, but to the heart, to the place in the chest where the soul hums behind every heartbeat. Inhale slowly, exhale completely, and speak silently or aloud this prayer. Divine Mother, I offer this sleep to Thee. Let not my dreams be chaos or confusion. Let them be Thy temple, Thy guidance, Thy whisper of remembrance. And say it not with formality, but with fervor. Let the words burn with sincerity. If you practice Kriya Yoga or other deep meditative techniques, give a few minutes of breath awareness before lying down. Let the breath become the bridge between waking and dreaming, the conduit through which the soul prepares for departure. The more interiorized your consciousness becomes before sleep, the more refined and instructive your dreams shall be. Do not be surprised if, with regular practice, you begin to feel a subtle shift as you drift into sleep, pulling upward in the spine, a sensation of floating, of rising through subtle realms. This is not imagination. It is your soul stepping gently out of its earthly garment, as it does each night, whether you remember it or not. With spiritual preparation, you begin to remember. When you awaken, remain still. Do not leap into movement. The bridge between the dream and the waking world is made of silence. In every step you take away from stillness is a step away from memory. Keep your eyes closed for a moment and ask, where was I? Sometimes it is an image that arises. Sometimes it is a feeling of vibration, a mood, a wordless understanding. Do not dismiss it. That is your doorway. Keep a journal beside your bed, not to become a scholar of dreams, but a disciple of the soul. Record what you remember, even if it is fragmented, strange, or unclear. Over time, you will see that these fragments are like stars isolated until you connect them into constellations. And then you will perceive the pattern, the path, the teaching that was always there. Another sacred practice is dream incubation. If there is a question weighing on your heart, a karmic knot that remains unloosened, or a decision that clouds your clarity, offer it to the divine before sleep. Write it on paper, hold it to your chest, and pray, Beloved, if it be thy will, answer me in my dreams. Guide me as thou guided the prophets in their visions. Let my sleep be not unconsciousness, but communion. Often the answer will not be a direct word or image, but a shift in feeling, a new perspective, a release of fear that prepares the mind for spiritual direction. This is how dreams do their deepest work, not by changing the outer world, but by transforming your inner response. Be patient. Dream practice is not for the curious, it is for the sincere. In the beginning, dreams may seem random, or you may not remember them at all. Do not judge. The soul's language is ancient and subtle, and it reveals itself only to those who knock in silence, who wait with devotion, who listen not just with the ear, but with the entire being. Over time, you will see the dreams grow in light. You will feel the presence of your guru, of departed souls, of sacred places you've never seen in this life but recognize as home. You will begin to discern which dreams are karmic, which are prophetic, which are divine. And eventually, you may even experience lucidity, not in the common sense of controlling the dream, but in the sacred sense of realizing you are dreaming while dreaming. And in that realization, remembering your true nature. I am not this body, I am not this thought, I am the soul, a child of the infinite. In such moments, the veil between worlds grows thin. Dreams cease to be dreams. They become thresholds, doors into the astral and causal realms. And you, no longer merely a sleeper, become a traveler, a witness, a disciple of the eternal. This is the promise of sacred dream practice, that one day, in the hush of night, you shall meet your God not as an idea, not as a belief, but as a presence that walks with you through the chambers of sleep and whispers into your soul, welcome home. And now, beloved soul, as the day draws its curtain and you stand upon the threshold of sleep, I invite you not to see the night as a void to fall into, nor the dreams to come as accidents of memory, but to regard this sacred descent into darkness as a pilgrimage into the inner sanctum of the infinite. For the night is not merely the absence of day, it is the womb of God. It is within this divine stillness, this hallowed space between breaths, that the soul is most easily remembered, most gently met, and most powerfully restored. Just as the temple doors close to the outer world that the devotee might commune with the inner light, so too does sleep close your eyes, not to blind you, but to help you see without distraction, to guide you beyond the illusions of flesh and time, and into the unspoken presence that has walked beside you since before birth, and shall carry you long beyond death. Let us now enter that temple together, not with haste, not with effort, but with reverent surrender. Sit at the altar of your heart. Place your attention like a flower before the feet of the infinite. Feel the breath move through your body, not as a function, but as a prayer. Let each inhalation draw in the light of divine remembrance, and let each exhalation release the burdens of the day, the roles you played, the names you've answered to, the wounds you've held like thorns in your side. Let them all dissolve in this holy breath, and whisper to the beloved with the innocence of a child who knows no barrier between longing and union. I am thine, I sleep not in forgetfulness, but in thee. And as you lay your head upon the pillow, do so as one laying their head in the lap of the Divine Mother. Feel her hands brushing your hair, feel her gaze upon your soul, feel the quiet power of her protection as it forms a radiant shield around your bed. This is not imagination, it is remembrance. It is the soul's rightful recognition that God is not found in the clouds or the heavens above, but in the silence behind your heartbeat, the stillness beneath your breath, the spaciousness into which your thoughts dissolve as you prepare for sleep. Say softly to yourself, "This night is not ordinary. This night is sacred. I walk not into dreams, I walk into communion." And let this affirmation echo not from your lips alone, but from every cell, every vibration of your being. Let your body become a listening temple, your breath a swinging censer of incense, your thoughts offerings of devotion placed at the feet of the infinite. The mind will try to wander, it always does. But when it does, bring it back with tenderness, not with tension. Whisper once again, "I am thine." That one phrase, spoken with love, has the power to quiet centuries of restlessness, to untie knots of karma wrapped in your spine, to open channels of divine light through which healing, wisdom, and guidance may enter not only your dreams, but your waking life as well. And when sleep finally comes, do not resist it. Flow with it, as a river flows to the sea, knowing that the one who dreams the stars also dreams within you. Let each heartbeat be a bell. Let each breath be a candle. Let each dream be a verse in the scripture your soul writes each night in the language of eternity. For you are not merely a dreamer, beloved, you are the dreamer within the dreamer. You are the witness of all forms, the child of the infinite light, temporarily clothed in this fragile garment of flesh. Even now, as your body lies down, your soul rises. It rises not in confusion, but in celebration. It rises to meet its teacher, its friend, its eternal companion. And there, in that vast sky of silence, you shall remember not just what the dream means, but who you truly are. So I bless you now. I bless your sleep, that it may not be unconsciousness, but communion. I bless your dreams, that they may not confuse, but reveal. I bless your soul, that it may walk with clarity through the gardens of night and return with fruits of wisdom at dawn. And I bless your heart, that it may always remain open to the divine whisper within, whether it comes in waking or in sleep. Say these words with me, softly, slowly, with reverence. I welcome the night as a temple. I listen with soul ears. Tonight, God shall whisper, and I shall remember. Now close your eyes, dear one, not to shut the world away, but to open yourself to the world within. Drift gently, surrender deeply. And know this, if your devotion be sincere, if your longing be pure, one night, perhaps this very night, you shall fall asleep in your body and awaken in your soul. And from that dream you shall never wish to return. Om Shanti, Om Peace, Om Light. God be with you now, in dreams and forever. Have you ever paused in the midst of your daily routine, brushing your teeth, watching the sunlight stretch across the floor, hearing your name spoken by someone and suddenly felt the overwhelming strangeness of being alive? A fleeting, haunting moment where you wondered, what is all of this? This life, this body, this dream of form? That is the whisper of the third eye beginning to stir. That is the tap of the infinite upon the window of your soul, gently inviting you to awaken. And once you answer that callance, the eye of divine perception opens within you. Nothing will ever appear the same again. For you will no longer be seeing from the surface of the eyes those two orbs of flesh which mistake shadows for substance. You will see with the single eye of spirit, the eternal watcher within, which perceives not appearances, but the one reality behind all form. And this, my beloved, is the beginning of liberation, but also the beginning of the end for everything you once believed yourself to be. When the third eye opens, you do not merely see colors or lights. You behold the structure of existence itself. It is as if the cosmic film reel suddenly halts. In the light of the projector, the consciousness of God shines directly into your being. You realize that you have been living inside a theater of illusions, your thoughts projected onto the screen of duality, and your soul sleeping in the darkened hall, mistaking dreams for destiny. And when that light of intuition, the true spiritual sight, blazes forth from the Christ center between the eyebrows, it pierces through this veil of Maya like a shaft of morning sun through heavy fog. It shatters the comfort of your illusions. It dissolves your attachments, your past, your sense of separate selfhood. You begin to see what the saints have always seen, that this life is not a permanent structure, but a flowing, changing mirage on the screen of God's consciousness, and you can never unsee it. Many fear this, and rightly so. The third eye is not a psychic toy, nor a mystical curiosity. It is the gate of irreversible transformation. When Jesus said, "If thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light," he was not speaking in metaphor. He spoke of this very opening, this single eye of divine perception, through which the soul leaves the forest of delusion and steps onto the path of the eternal sun. But to see clearly is also to lose what you once clung to. You may feel that you are dying indeed. Part of you is. The ego, which lives only through separation, cannot survive the light of unity. It will fight to close the eye again. But once it opens, truly opens, the soul begins its real journey, not toward knowledge, but toward union, not toward experience, but toward being. And I say this to you not from theory, but from experience. For I too lived in the world of outward seeing until I was drawn inward by the hand of the beloved. When I first beheld the spiritual eye, the luminous halo of gold surrounding a blue sphere, and within it the radiant white five-pointed star, it was as though I had come home. It was not a vision external to me. It was me. I recognized it as the reflection of my own self, me, eternal self, the child of God hidden behind the veil of flesh and name. And in that moment, all the noise of life fell silent. A stillness deeper than time arose within me, and I knew, without doubt, that the reality I had called me was but a shadow on the cave wall of eternity. That single eye, dear one, does not show you new things, it shows you the truth behind all things. And that truth will undo you and remake you. So, if you stand on the edge of this awakening, if something in your soul trembles as you listen, know this: it is not madness, it is not fantasy. It is the birth cry of your divine perception. The door is opening. The old world is losing its grip. And though your ego may whisper fear, though your habits may beg to stay asleep, your soul is already walking toward the light. Do not turn back. Once you awaken the third eye, there is no going back. And that is not a curse, but the greatest mercy of God. For the eyes of flesh will fail you, but the eye of spirit never sleeps. It sees only God. It sees only love. It sees only home. The third eye is not a symbol, not a poetic metaphor, not a mystical ornament for spiritual curiosity. It is the forgotten gate, the sealed window, the luminous command center of your divine perception. It lies hidden behind the two physical eyes, nestled deep in the spiritual corridor of the forehead, just above the point between the eyebrows. It is known in yogic science as the Ajna Chakrathe command chakra 4. It does not merely perceive higher worlds, it governs the inner cosmos. It is here, in this sacred cave of intuition, that the soul first glimpses the light beyond delusion, the true form of God, the origin of all vibration in thought and form. And yet, this eye was sealed long ago not by punishment or neglect, but by the slow hypnosis of sensory attachment, the tightening veil of karmic desire, the fear of inner light that grips every ego as it falls into the dream of separateness. When you were a child of light, before you identified with name and nation, before you wrapped yourself in the garments of likes and dislikes, before the illusions of pain and pleasure drew your soul outward, like a tide, you lived in this eye. You saw the world not with judgment but with wonder. You heard the voice of God in silence and saw his smile in every flicker of light. But as karma ripened, as ego thickened its crust around the soul, this eye began to close not all at once, but gradually, like a sunrise dimming into dusk. You began to see only with the flesh, to desire only the seen, to fear the unseen. The spiritual eye, once a blazing star within your forehead, faded into silence. It did not die, it only waited. And now, my child, you feel it again, not with your mind, but with your ache. That quiet longing you carry, the sense that there is more behind the sky, more behind the people you love, more behind your own thoughts, that is the spiritual eye calling to be remembered. It is not a foreign implant, but your original home. The white star encased in blue and gold that yogis speak of is not an invention, it is a vision as ancient as the soul itself. The golden halo represents the vibratory cosmos, the active creative energy of God. The blue sphere is the Christ or Kutastha consciousness, the divine intelligence in all creation. And the white star is the doorway to spirit beyond all creation, the absolute, the ever-existing, ever conscious, ever new joy that is your source. Why was this eye sealed? Not because God forgot you, but because you chose to experience separation. You, the immortal soul, desired to taste the play of duality, the drama of light and shadow, of gain and loss, of ego and love. And so, to preserve the freedom of your journey, the third eye closed. The Father allowed you to walk in the wilderness of the senses so that your return would be conscious, your longing authentic, your surrender voluntary. The sealing of the third eye was not a punishment, it was the start of a sacred pilgrimage. And yet, the time of forgetting is ending. The veils are thinning. The old world cannot satisfy you anymore. No achievement, no relationship, no ideology quenches the thirst you feel. That is because the thirst is not for something but for sight. You want to see not with your eyes, but with your soul. You want to pierce the illusion and behold the divine as it truly is. And that desire, my beloved, is not yours alone. It is the call of the infinite echoing in your heart. You are being summoned, and the key is already within you. This is why the third eye has been called the gate of the east. In Scripture, the prophet Ezekiel speaks of the gate that looks toward the east, that must remain shut because the Lord entered through eye tan, that it shall be opened only for the prince. This is no allegoriette, is yogic truth veiled in biblical language. The gate is your spiritual eye. It has been sealed for lifetimes. But the prince your soul awakened through meditation and grace now approaches. And the gate begins to tremble. Do you feel it? You were born not to crawl among shadows, but to walk in the radiance of that inner sun. The sealing was temporary, but the seeing is eternal. And once the eye opens again, once you behold the light within the light, nothing you ever thought was real will remain unshaken. You will walk through life as if through a dream but not lost, not numb. You will walk as one who knows the dreamer. You will see not only things, but the spirit within all things. You will not be trapped in form, you will live as the light that sustains it. And in that light, you will no longer be alone. The first dawning of the third eye is not a trumpet blast, nor a bolt of light, nor the cry of angels. It is the whisper of eternity slipping through the veil of your inner silence. It does not come in noise or drama. It comes when the restlessness of the body has been stilled by devotion, when the breath has become like a quiet river, when thought has softened into presence, and you, the soul, sit at the doorway of infinity, not demanding a miracle, but offering your love. In this stillness, if you are ready, if the karmic burden has been lightened and your sincerity is pure, the veil will part and a sacred light will emerge. At first, it may appear only for a second, a golden mist, a faint blue orb, a flash behind the brow, but even in that fleeting moment, the direction of your life will change. You have seen it, and you cannot unsee it. The spiritual eye appears as a vision of perfect symmetry and divine power, a halo of golden light encircling a deep blue sphere, within which shines a radiant white star with 5 points. This is not imagination. This is not hallucination. This is the universal symbol of divine consciousness, seen alike by saints of all paths, Christians who called it the Star of Bethlehem, yogis who call it the Eye of Shiva, Buddhists who perceive it as the Dharmakaya window to nirvana. It is not culture-bound, it is soul-born. It is the real sight that was hidden by the illusion of flesh. And when this inner star appears, you do not just believe in God, you behold Him. In that moment, the room around you may still be there, the clock ticking, the world humming, the sounds of life continuing, but none of it holds the same weight. It all seems suddenly like scenery in a play you no longer mistake for real. For you have just glimpsed the light behind the curtain. And this light, though seen in the point between the eyebrows, is not confined to any organ. It floods your entire being. You feel it radiating through your spine, illuminating your thoughts, warming your heart, bringing tears not of sadness but of recognition. Ah, my beloved, I have seen thee at last. This vision may not come through effort alone. Many have strained in meditation, seeking it as a goal, and found only frustration. But when meditation ripens into devotion, when the techniques become instruments of surrender rather than conquest, when the heart yearns not for power but for communion, then grace descends. Sometimes it comes after years of practice. Sometimes it comes as a gift from the Guru's gaze, a moment of inner alignment, or a dream in the depth of sleep. But whenever it comes, the effect is the same. The soul knows it has touched truth, and no theology or philosophy can replace what has been directly perceived. Yogananda spoke of this vision with the authority of one who lived constantly in it. He said that to behold the spiritual eye is to enter the doorway to the infinite. Through the golden ring, you sense the vibratory creation, the energy that dances as matter and thought. Through the blue sphere, you contact the Christ consciousness, the omnipresent intelligence that sustains the cosmos with love. And through the white star, you begin to perceive the spirit beyond all form, the silent God beyond all galaxies. It is not imagination, it is initiation. And once this vision becomes clear and steady, you are no longer walking toward God, you are walking in God. But know this, the vision is not an end. It is a beginning. It is the first step beyond the shore of sensory life. It is the first confirmation that you are more than mind and body, more than personality and pain. It is the invitation to leave the known world, not physically, but vibrationally, to begin walking the invisible path home. And that path, once glimpsed, will not let you turn back without consequence. The ego will try, the mind will doubt, the old habits will whisper, but something in you has already stepped through the gate, and it cannot be undone. This is why the saints speak of divine homesickness. This is why they weep in silence and smile without cause. For they have seen the stair, and though they still walk the earth, their hearts are fixed in heaven. This is the first stage of third eye awakening, and from here, the journey deepens. Once the inner star has revealed itself, even if only for a fleeting instant, the spell of the outer world begins to break. Not in some abrupt catastrophe, not in some violent crash of forms, but in a slow, silent dissolving of conviction. What you once called real, what you defended, desired, feared, and clung to begins to lose its gravitational pull. The movie no longer hypnotizes you, for the light behind the screen has been glimpsed. This is not detachment born of disdain, it is freedom born of recognition. You are not rejecting the world. You are awakening from the dream. And so the second stage begins, the dissolution of sensory dominance. It does not mean you stop seeing with the eyes or hearing with the ears. No, it means that your allegiance to them, your blind trust in their report, begins to fade. The flowers still bloom, the sky still turns its golden hues, the music still dances, but beneath it all, you begin to feel a deeper layer, a silent song, a trembling aliveness that the senses cannot capture. The world becomes translucent, as if backlit by something divine. You find yourself pausing in the middle of activity, feeling the unreality of it all, not as disassociation, but as revelation. You are seeing Maya for what it is, a luminous illusion. This stage can be disorienting. The ego, sensing its throne shaking, begins to whisper, "You are losing your grip. You are floating too far. Come back to the ground." But you, the soul, know that the ground is not what it seemed. You know that all form is fluctuation, all solidity is vibration, and what you are now beginning to see is not madness but truth. Yogananda taught that Maya is cosmic hypnosis, a grand theater of light and shadow that spirit projects through the five senses. And the third eye, once opened, begins to lift that hypnotic veil. You start to see people not as faces and names, but as fields of energy, as moving thoughts wrapped in skin. You start to hear behind their words the call of their souls, or the chains of their karma. You feel the pain they hide. You glimpse the light they forgot. You no longer see others as separate. You begin to feel the thread that binds all life. At first, this can be lonely. You may feel like a stranger in a familiar world. Friends speak, but your mind floats elsewhere. Events unfold, but your heart no longer clings. Food, noise, crowds, entertainments, they lose their flavor. You smile, you engage, you function, but inside, you have stepped into another realm, and that realm will not release you. This is the divine disruption. You begin to perceive two worlds simultaneously, the outer and the inner, and slowly, the inner becomes more real. Do not be afraid of this stage. It is the natural result of spiritual awakening. It does not mean you will lose your life. It means you will find it. The sages of all ages walked through this valley. Buddha sat beneath the Bodhi tree, watching the flickers of illusion dissolve. Jesus wandered the wilderness, fasting and praying, his inner sight flowering beyond the eyes. Yogananda, as a child, sat in meditation for hours, unaware of time or body, floating in the bliss of subtler vision. They all passed through this stage. And you too are now walking that sacred path. Let the senses dissolve without fear. Let the form lose its hold. Let the thoughts grow quiet. You are not going backward. You are not becoming empty. You are being cleansed of illusion. You are preparing to see the world not through the eyes of flesh, but through the gaze of the soul. And when that gaze deepens, when the third eye begins to open fully, you will see not the end of perception, but the beginning of a vast and shimmering truth that has been waiting, silently, behind every face, every cloud, every breath. The breakdown of sensory reality is not a falit, is a flight. It is the unmasking of the stage play. It is the soul, standing in stillness, whispering, "This is not all. There is more. Look again, but with the eye that sees." And then it happens. The veil thins not just in the silence of meditation, but in moments between breaths, between thoughts, between the flutterings of worldly concern. What you once considered invisible now reveals itself not as imagination, but as a higher octave of reality. The curtain between worlds is drawn aside, not by effort or willpower, but by the quiet magnetism of your awakening soul. And what once seemed like superstition or symbol the astral realms, the voice of your guru, the presence of departed loved ones, the golden vibrations of angels now becomes experience, unmistakable and serene. This is the third stage, the emergence of unseen realms into the field of your awareness. It does not come as a spectacle or hallucination. It arrives gently, like the sun rising through mist, first a feeling, then a glow, then a knowing that transcends all argument. You may begin to perceive colors while your eyes are closed, but they are not like the colors of this world. They shimmer, they breathe. You may hear the sound of Aum, not in your ears, but as a hum vibrating behind every object, every thought, every atom. You may feel the presence of one who is not there, but whose energy enfolds you like a mother's arms. The world is no longer made of matter alone. It has become transparent to spirit. And yet this is not fantasy. This is not escape. This is the awakening of the inner telescope, the power of the spiritual eye, to gaze beyond the curtain of gross perception into the subtler dimensions of God's creation. Yogananda said, "There are regions beyond this world of space and time, where the soul travels in sleep and in deep meditation. These are not abstract realms. They are vast and luminous, teeming with forms and beings, intelligences and memories, echoes of your soul's past and whispers of its future. You may find yourself in dreams that feel more real than waking, where you are flying not through sky but through light, where your body is not a burden of flesh but a radiant form of subtle energy, where movement is thought and communion is wordless. You may enter temples not built by hands, where saints sit in meditation, and you, too, are welcome among them. You may see your own past lives lived in other lands, bodies worn like costumes and set aside, and suddenly understand why certain patterns have haunted you, why certain faces are familiar, why you weep at music you've never heard. You may begin to hear the inner voice of your guru, not as memory or suggestion, but as a living guidance that calls from beyond the mind. And even if the form of your teacher has passed from this world, his presence may appear to you in moments of trial or meditation, silent yet radiant, speaking in your heart with clarity that banishes confusion. This voice does not flatter. It does not command. It simply knows, and in its knowing, it awakens your own. And all of this, dear soul, is not a reward or a fantasy. It is the natural expansion of your consciousness once the third eye begins to open. The inner cosmos, long hidden behind the walls of the senses, now makes itself known. The physical world becomes a shell, a shadow, a garment tan. What is within begins to shine without. You no longer wonder if the soul survives death. You know. You no longer speculate about karma or the law of vibration. You feel them moving through your spine like ancient winds through a forgotten temple. You may walk through the outer world, but you see the energy behind it. You may speak with others, but a part of you remains listening elsewhere, watching from a still point behind the brow. You become two beings at once, the human who lives and the soul who sees, and slowly the two begin to merge. But know this, with this stage comes a deeper responsibility. For when the unseen becomes seen, you can no longer pretend to be blind. When you feel the presence of divine law behind every event, you can no longer say, "This is random," or "That is unfair." You are now entering the field of spiritual maturity, where perception must give birth to reverence and awareness must become devotion. So bless these new sights. Bless the beings who visit your meditations, the dreams that pull you upward, the tears that fall when beauty floods you. Do not grasp at them. Do not seek to control. Bow to them and let them teach you not just what is, but who you are. For the third eye is not merely the eye that sees, it is the eye that reveals you to yourself, again and again, layer by layer, until only light remains. And so this stage unfolds not as fantasy, but as the flowering of inner truth. The soul does not need to be convinced. It only needs to be remembered. And now, the remembering has begun. There comes a moment in every seeker's path when the world no longer offers refuge, and not because it has grown more hostile, but because the veil has been lifted and the soul can no longer pretend that it belongs to the fleeting. This is not depression. It is not sadness. It is divine discontent, a holy homesickness that begins when the third eye opens wide enough for the soul to glimpse the eternal and, in that glimpse, lose forever its taste for the temporary. This is the point of no return. Once you have touched the hem of the infinite, once your consciousness has sailed through the quiet sapphire corridors of inner stillness, no pleasure of the world can match its sweetness, and no distraction can erase your memory of that sacred taste. This stage is not marked by fireworks or visions. It is marked by something deeper, more subtle, and far more irreversible, a shift in identity. You no longer see yourself as merely a body, a name, a personality formed by history and preference. Instead, you begin to watch yourself from within, as if the ego were a costume worn by something ancient, something vast, something luminous. The small self does not die in one stroke. It unravels slowly, thread by thread, through every act of silence, every breath offered to the divine, every illusion surrendered. And yet, you remain in the world. You still laugh, still weep, still walk through the marketplaces of human exchange, but a part of you has already stepped beyond time. It is here, in this quiet threshold, that many feel a sudden loneliness, not because they are unloved, but because their soul has begun to remember its divine origin. Earthly companionship, though precious, can no longer mask the soul's deeper yearning for union with its beloved. You may find yourself retreating into stillness more often, not out of withdrawal, but because the sweetness of God's presence begins to draw you inward like a magnetic tide. You may feel misunderstood, not because others reject you, but because you now speak from a place they have not yet visited. But this is not a punishment, it is a preparation. The soul must walk a few steps alone before it is ready to merge fully with the infinite. And yet, even in this solitude, you are never truly alone. For once the third eye opens fully, the spiritual eye becomes not just a window but a doorway. Through it, the presence of the Guru, the light of saints, the comfort of angelic realms begin to surround you. You may not always see them, but you feel their quiet guardianship like a sacred fragrance in the air around your soul. Your prayers change, because you speak differently, but because your voice rises from a deeper octave. The words may be the same, but the vibration now carries the scent of surrender. You are no longer asking God to fix the world. You are asking Him to consume you in His light. This is the moment when the spiritual path ceases to be a concept and becomes your entire being. You no longer dabble in meditation. You live in it. You no longer seek God as a concept to understand. You hunger for Him as the only reality that can truly satisfy. And the irony, the exquisite paradox, is that as the ego dissolves, as your attachments begin to loosen, as the illusion of I and mine fades like mist, a deeper joy arises, one that has no cause, no opposite, no need for validation. It is the joy of being one with the eternal current. It is the joy of knowing that whatever happens outside, nothing can shake the temple of God that has now been opened within you. And yes, there may be moments of fear that you are leaving behind what others still hold dear, fear that you will never again find your way back to the world you once knew. But take heart. This fear is only the cry of the dying ego, sensing its end. You are not going mad, you are waking up. You are not losing yourself. You are being revealed to yourself. And even though there may be tears, even though you may feel the pangs of a spiritual birth, know this: what lies beyond this threshold is not isolation, but union, not silence, but the roaring bliss of God's eternal embrace. So do not retreat. Do not doubt what your inner eye has seen. Do not try to go back to the sleep you once called comfort. The gates have opened. The inner sky has split. The soul has tasted eternity, and it can never be satisfied by time again. Once the soul passes through the veil of return once, it steps into that sacred zone where the senses loosen their grip, and the ego no longer dictates the field of reality. It begins to witness, not with the eyes of flesh, but with the eye of truth. And what it sees is not imagined, not symbolic, not metaphorical alone, but vividly, luminously real. You do not merely see visions, you inhabit a world that was always there behind the curtain of restlessness. This is the inner cosmos, vast, radiant, alive, and it is not separate from you, for it is the deeper terrain of your own being. The third eye becomes the telescope through which God shows you the hidden architecture of spirit, the sacred geometry of divine creation, the threefold brilliance of the spiritual eye itself: golden halo, blue sphere, and white star. This vision is not confined to saints alone. It is the birthright of every child of God. The golden ring, bright and pulsing like 1,000 suns, represents the vibratory field of creation, the causal energy that dances in atoms, galaxies, thought, and sound. It is the first breath of God, the outward pulse of Aum, the let there be light that issued forth from the infinite. To behold it, even for a moment, is to remember that nothing, no object, no sorrow, no form is outside this radiant field of divine vibration. It encircles you not as philosophy, but as the living breath of spirit. Then, within that golden ring, the blue sphere arises the Christ consciousness, or Kutastha Chaitanya, which pervades all things with loving intelligence. This deep indigo light is not passive. It pulsates with omnipresence. To gaze upon it is to feel not merely love, but love that knows all things. It is the presence behind all faces, the witness in all hearts, the infinite stillness behind motion. When this eye is open within you, you begin to see others not as bodies or personalities, but as waves of the same infinite sea rising, falling, weeping, dancing, but never separate from the one. And this sight humbles you, strips away judgment, and leaves in its place only awe and compassion. But within this blue deeper still, more subtle than light itself, shines the white five-pointed star, blazing with a radiance beyond the senses. It is the gateway to spirit beyond form. It does not dazzle, it annihilates. In its presence, the mind ceases all function, for it has found its source. It is the door through which the soul exits the dream of matter and returns into the formless ecstasy of union with the divine. Those who pass through it speak little afterward, not because they lack words, but because words are too slow for what the soul has seen. And this is not fantasy. This is not myth. This is the sacred anatomy of your own consciousness, etched into the silence behind your thoughts. The inner cosmos is not something you must construct. It is what you begin to perceive when you cease reacting to the outer. And in this perception, time collapses. Space folds. You may see lives you once lived not as stories or visions, but as energies still flowing within you. You may behold your spiritual lineage of gurus who have walked with you silently across incarnations, guiding your fall and rise toward the divine. You may witness the subtle interplay of karma, the divine weaving of causes and effects, the precise orchestration of lessons hidden inside what you once called coincidence. And then, deeper still, the soul begins to glimpse the divine, not only in form, but in essence and vibration, in color, in light, in silence. You begin to understand that the lotus is not beautiful because of its petals, but because of the stillness it emerged from. You recognize that every sacred symbol, the cross, the star, the spiralis, encoded in the inner realms as living realities. They are not metaphors, but living patterns through which consciousness ascends. And in their presence, your breath slows, your heart opens, your tears fall not from sadness, but from the recognition that what you had sought outwardly is now revealing itself within you, intimately, infinitely, forever. So let go of the fear that this world is all there is. Let go of the belief that what you cannot see is not real. The third eye does not invent, it reveals. The inner cosmos does not distance you from life, it allows you to finally live it with the clarity of divine remembrance. And once the eye is open, once the veil is parted, you begin to walk through this world as one who carries another world inside. You speak less, but say more. You touch, but with reverence. You suffer, but with the knowledge that even pain is not the final story. You are now a seer not because of what you see, but because of where you see from. And that place is no longer the mind, but the soul. That gaze no longer seeks to grasp, but to witness. That light no longer blinds, but awakens. This is the inner cosmos, and it is your inheritance. Now comes the most subtle, the most dangerous threshold of all, not the storm of outer opposition, not the confusion of doubt, not even the loneliness of inner awakening, but the temptation to misuse what has been divinely revealed. For once the third eye opens, once the soul begins to navigate the luminous corridors of the inner cosmos, and the veil of ordinary vision falls away, the seeker becomes a knower of things hidden from the world. And herein lies the test that even advanced souls may stumble before the seduction of subtle power, the ego's final mask. Power is not merely the ability to move matter. It is the capacity to influence vibration, to alter perception, to direct the currents of consciousness that flow between beings. And when the third eye opens, the soul becomes sensitive to these rivers of energy, the thoughts of others, the desires that ripple through space, the karmic ties that pull one heart to another, the unspoken emotions that live behind a gaze or gesture. In this sensitivity, one may be tempted to manipulate, to boast, to assume superiority, to bend reality toward personal desire under the disguise of spiritual intent. But I tell you, this is the very fire that must purify the heart before the soul can be trusted with the full vision of God. Yogic scriptures speak not only of saints, but of siddhas, who gain powers before they gain wisdom. Some may develop clairvoyance, the ability to read thoughts, to see into future timelines or distant places. Others may awaken the power of magnetism, the ability to attract wealth, love, or influence through vibratory alignment. But all these abilities, when touched by ego even in trace amounts, become obstacles to union. It is not wrong to possess spiritual sight. It is dangerous to believe it is yours. For the moment you identify as the seer, you separate yourself from the source. In the moment you claim the power, you invite its dissipation. This is why the great masters cloak themselves in humility. Lahiri Mahasaya, the householder yogi of Benares, performed no outward miracles, yet transformed thousands through silent spiritual radiation. Sri Yukteswar, my guru, possessed the wisdom of the rishis but lived in quiet detachment. Babaji, the deathless master of the Himalayas, remains hidden, not because he lacks power, but because he has no need to display it. And so must it be with you, if you would cross this burning gate. For the eye that opens must pass through the fire of purification, close again beneath the ash of pride. What purifies the eye is not denial, but surrender. It is not fear of the gift, but reverence for its giver. Every time you are tempted to use what you've seen to judge another, pause. Every time you wish to speak your visions to gain admiration, be still. Every time you feel superior for having glimpsed what others have not, kneel in the temple of your own breath and say, Lord, it is not mine, it is thine. This act of surrender, small, silent, unseen by the world, is what refines your vision. It turns the eye from the lens of ego to the mirror of God. And if the fire of purification comes, and it will do not flee, when your deepest attachments rise like smoke, when your desires burn and your plans dissolve, when old identities fall away and you feel naked before the infinite, rejoice. For this is the holy combustion that removes all veils. You are not being punished. You are being rendered transparent to light. You are not losing power, you are becoming its instrument. I remember the moments when I, too, walked through this fire, when my prayers brought not peace, but inner upheaval, when visions came unbidden, and I feared I was losing touch with the world. But in time I learned, what the fire takes away, God replaces with eternity. You must let the small self burn, so the soul can rise like incense into the presence. So guard your gaze, beloved. Let your third eye remain the eye of devotion, not ambition. Let it be an altar, not a spotlight. Let it be a window through which God may look upon his creation, not a mirror in which you admire your reflection. Only then will the vision remain clear, the power remain pure, and the eye remain open not only in your meditations, but in the sacred ordinariness of life. When the eye becomes fire, and the fire becomes love, and love becomes surrender, then you are ready for the final sight. There comes a moment on the path after the veils have burned away, after the ego has collapsed into ash, after all the visions and voices and vibratory marvels have bowed before silence, when the opened eye no longer seeks, no longer scans the inner horizon for phenomena or signs or confirmation. It simply rests in what it now knows to be the only truth. God alone is real. And this is the blessed fruit of the fully awakened third eye, not a gallery of lights, not the ability to read minds or peer into past lives, but the constant, unshakable perception of the divine in all things. It is not a flash or a trance or a mountaintop miracle. It is the quiet seeing of eternity in a flower, of infinity in a child's laugh, of boundless compassion even in the sorrowful and strange. The eye becomes steady not because the world has changed, but because the one who sees no longer identifies with what is passing. When the third eye rests in divine union, it no longer perceives separation. The saints you once glimpsed in dreams now live within your breath. The astral temples you once visited are now felt in the stillness behind your gaze. The God you once sought in clouds of mantra and vision is now the subtle hum in every cell of your being. You look into the eyes of friend or stranger, and you no longer see form, you see a flickering flame from the same eternal light. And even when sorrow comes, when the world appears to break again, you no longer fall into despair, for you now know that even the breaking is held in the gentle gaze of the divine witness within you. This is the final blessing of the opened eye. It sees not only God above or God within, it sees God as all. Where others see chaos, it sees rhythm. Where others see cruelty, it sees karmic law working toward balance. Where others see loss, it sees divine refinement. The eye has become a lamp, and the lamp shines not outward only, but inward, and reveals that the soul was never apart from God. It was only sleeping in the dream of separation. And oh, the sweetness of this vision! It cannot be described. Even my words, poured out in devotion, fail before its stillness. It is like being embraced by a presence that has no form, yet holds all forms. It is like hearing a song in your soul that has no beginning and will never end. It is like becoming transparent so that only God's light remains, wearing your body, moving your thoughts, loving through your heart. In that state, prayer becomes breath, and breath becomes worship. In that state, every sound becomes Om, and every silence becomes his embrace. In that state, one could walk through fire and feel only light. One could be cast into the world's madness and see only Maya dancing around the unmoved center of truth. This is not fantasy. It is the soul's true sight. It is what Christ meant when he said, "If thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light." It is what the rishis saw in their cave-bound ecstasies. It is what you are being called toward, not merely to awaken the third eye as a doorway, but to dwell in it as a temple. You are not meant to glimpse God and return to blindness. You are meant to behold him everywhere, until the seer and the seen dissolve into seeing itself pure, eternal, ever-conscious joy. So do not stop at visions. Do not build your house in the land of experiences. Go further. Let the eye see through the dream into the dreamer, and then through the dreamer into the light of the one who dreamed even the dreamer into being. For in that final seeing, you will know. There was never an eye, never a seer, never a seen, only God gazing upon himself in love. And now, beloved soul, you stand at the edge of a silence deeper than words, more luminous than light, more intimate than breath. For you have not merely heard about the third eye, you have walked with me through its awakening. You have glimpsed the threshold where form begins to melt into vibration, where sound becomes a bridge into spirit, where the world you once trusted begins to dissolve like mist before the sun. And though your outer life may still unfold in the rhythm of days and duties, something essential within you has changed. You are no longer a seeker chasing visions, nor a wanderer lost in longing. You are a seer, no one, who walks not by sight, but by soul. But let me speak to you not as a teacher above, but as a companion beside you, as one who has wept in the caves of doubt and soared in the stillness of divine remembrance. I know what it feels like to tremble before the eye's awakening. I know the loneliness of watching the world's illusions fall away while those around you continue to dance in shadows. I know the ache of being filled with light and having no words for it, but I also know the grace that follows the surrender. I know the peace that arrives, not with fanfare, but like dew upon the heart. I know the deep, eternal joy that remains untouched, even when life storms around you, for that joy flows from the one who now gazes through you. And so I say to you, walk now as a seer, but do not speak as one seeking recognition. Let your vision remain inward, your devotion remain quiet, your love remain unconditioned. Let the awakened eye guide you not to powers, but to presence. Let it teach you how to bow before the God in all, not to judge or divide, but to embrace and uplift. For the true seer does not escape the world, he sanctifies it by seeing God beneath every veil. Each morning, as you rise from sleep, do not begin with worry or haste. Begin with stillness. Greet the infinite behind the brow. Offer your sight to him again. Whisper, let me see only thee today, beloved. And when the world pulls you outward, return inward again, not in retreat, but in reconnection. The eye will remind you. The light will call you. The breath will guide you. And each night, before sleep swallows your senses, kneel within. Close the eyes of flesh and let the single eye remain open. Say to the Lord, I have walked with thee through this day. I have tried to see as thou seest. May this gaze never dim. And he, the indweller of your soul, will wrap you in a peace that no sorrow can touch, and bathe your sleep in visions that nourish the roots of your spiritual becoming. You may feel unworthy. You may doubt the depth of your practice. But let me tell you now, if you are here, reading these words, breathing with me in this sacred moment, then you are ready. Not because you are perfect, but because you have yearned long enough, surrendered deep enough, and been broken open by love wide enough to receive what cannot be given by effort alone. Grace has touched your forehead. The gate is opened. The star has begun to shine. So go now not with pride, but with reverence. Go not to convince others, but to awaken compassion in silence. Go not to prove your awakening, but to embody its fragrance. You do not need to announce that your eye has opened. It will be known in your calmness, your kindness, your luminous simplicity. It will be felt in your presence, seen in your peace, remembered in your smile. And when fear tries to return, when the world once again tries to wrap its illusions around you, remember the eye. Return to the blue center. Look not outward, but inward and upward. Say again the name of God not as a sound, but as a homecoming. Say, Thou art the light within the light. Thou art the seer within the seeing. I am thine. Be thou mine. And now, my blessing, may the spiritual eye, the sacred gateway of divine perception, open fully within you. May it become not a portal you visit, but a dwelling place in which you live. May your thoughts be guided by the light that sees without judgment. May your heart remain steady in the fire of divine remembrance. May your breath carry the fragrance of eternity. And may you never again forget that you are not this body, not this mind, not even this personality, but the luminous soul, forever beholding God through the eye that never sleeps. There is no going back now, dear one. But why would you want to return to blindness when your soul was born for sight? Let the light lead you home. Let the eye remain open. Let God be all you see.